Is it the internet? Hello, internet.
Time for D&D, guys.
Woo!
Yeah. I'm Soda now.
Woo! Let's do stuff. What do you say, gang?
Yes, why not? We're all here anyway.
We got the internet. We got dice. We got one of these. Let's have D&D, shall we?
Is that a book?
That is a book.
Ugh, I don't like it.
Someday, you group of adventurers might actually enter the story contained herein.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're 4 episodes in, and we're almost there.
Well, it was my first attempt at preparation, and let's just say I've prepared fully.
Oh, DM.
Here we go.
The most fun.
So welcome, internets. We're live on Castle Mac, and that's a big thrill. So first order of business, as always, is to thank Stephen and Lydia and Sean and Raven and Andrew and Macy the dog and the coach, that's the other Sean, and all the Castle Macs for having us on their channel. So really excited to bring another episode. I think this is session 4 of Into the Borderlands, which is a 5e adaptation of the original Dungeons & Dragons B1, B2 modules by Goodman Games. And I was really worried about having a really great adventure hook and getting... So we're episode 4, and pretty soon I think I might actually use that book. So we're almost there, sort of. So let's go around the group here real quick and introduce everybody. And let's go ahead and start with Lyala Bright. How are you there, Miss Sheena Likes the Villain?
I am good. So yes, hi, I am Sheena. I'm Likes the Villain on Twitter and Twitch, and I am very excited it's D&D night.
Glad to have you along. Hey, how about Ms. Misery? What's going on up in Canada this evening, Ms. Misery?
Canada's cold, wet, and sad.
Yeah.
I'm obviously Miss Misery here on Twitch, and on Twitter I am Miss_Misery_. I'm really happy we're playing D&D. I've been wanting to play for a while, so especially since I failed in the last game. So
D&D joy. There's nothing like it. Excellent. Let's meet our technological wonder. How about the Stump Man himself? How you doing, Stump-O-Matic? All right, and thank you once again for running our technology. Go ahead, what were you saying, bud?
I was muted on stream, so I got to remember my microphone is mute. I have to unmute on 2 places. But as I was saying, please, everybody, let me know if the music is too loud and it drowns us out. I'm looking forward to D&D. I've been missing it. What else was I going to say? Oh, if Castle Mac can do it, if he's there, when we take a break, I want to do a drawing for active viewers, and I'm going to give away a Castle Mac t-shirt.
Oh, nice.
At the break.
Nice touch, man. Stump-O-Matic.
If he can't do a drawing out of the viewers, I will just open up the viewer list and see how many they are, and randomly choose that way.
We'll make it work. Thank you, Stump. Boy, aren't you just the most benevolent Stump I've ever met.
What a guy.
Very, very nice. All right, let's keep working our way around. And Stump, you're playing Stoneheart, right?
Yes, Stoneheart, the Dwarven Paladin.
Very nice. And Ms. Misery, you have Harlow, right? And then Likes the Villain, Sheena has Lyala Bright. How about let's meet Shanalogic.
Hey everybody, Shanalogic. I'm playing Flint, the gay disaster Ganassi Ranger, and I'm very excited to be back. I love this game. It makes my day.
Good to see you again. Glad to have you back there, Flint, you gay disaster, you.
Hey.
Love it. Such a fun party. And last, and certainly not least, our friend Archidevin, excuse me, I keep forgetting that's short for architect. Tell us about Archidevin. Devin?
Well, I guess I can't officially call myself an architect yet. You need a license for that. But that's besides the point. Yes, I'm Devin. I'm Arcadevin on Twitter, and then I'm Utilitas here on Twitch and the Castlemax Discord. I'm one of their moderators, and I'm playing Pavel, just a regular disaster.
Indeed. And so this is a currently all first level characters. We started from individual session zeros to a group session 0, and now we are in our 4th session. And my adventure hook just keeps rolling on, and that's just all the more D&D goodness. My name is Wiley Hobbit. I have an actual name, it's Scott, but everybody on the Twitches and Twitters knows me as Wiley Hobbit. Every other Wednesday, I have the absolute privilege and joy of DMing this fine group through this module, should we ever actually get into it. And it's really a gas because I haven't DM'd since I was like a 15-year-old murder hobo, min-max, and wackadoo. And so now that I know how to play D&D at a much more enjoyable level for my old-time enjoyment, I'm really enjoying DMing. So bear with me on my first attempt at this little gig. So quick summary. Does anybody want to take that, or I can do it? Anybody feeling really motivated to give us a quick look back from last session?
I'm always motivated.
All right, Pavel, it's all you, buddy.
Yeah. So we left the manor of our employer to head to a place called the Q in the Flinty Hills. To do so, we passed through a forest where we murder hoboed some goblins and a bugbear, and then met a band of burly woodsmen who promptly ran off. And then we continued on our way and met some curious gnomes, I believe they were. We traded some stories and information, and then we made our way towards the Flinty Hills, and we basically just got there, and I climbed a tree and fell out of it to get a better look around, and we ended with hearing some screams from children, is what it sounded like, off in the distance.
Yes, the screams of the Utes. So they were in Greyhawk, in case you recognize any of these, like the Flinty Hills. We're in kind of central Greyhawk, central eastern Greyhawk, Flanness. We're in the Great Northern Kingdom of Erde, and we're adventuring into the Flinty Hills, again, as Pavel says, in search of the Q and of a particular item, Zeliger's Bane, that their Lord Thanon has contracted with them to retrieve. So that is the Uber mission. But at the moment, you've heard the sounds of youngsters wailing away and screaming. Before we get into that, I'd like to just blow through a couple quick house rules. Does everybody still have a player inspiration they can give? We always start each game with each player having an inspiration they can give to another player. It's a house rule on Castle Mac. Just a way of rewarding great roleplay, which has so far been sort of the focus of our group. It's been mostly roleplay. We've only had one combat encounter. That inspiration can be used for one reroll. Speaking of rerolls, if anybody in chat donates enough bits to get us to 500, that would also provide the group with a reroll they can use to ask me to roll over. Actually, not roll over, but to re-roll a roll, or they can use it to re-roll one of their own. And I currently have a list of, looks like 7 re-rolls you have accumulated. So that's
first session was very generous.
Yes, it was. So I will notate that. Also, house rules. If you roll a crit success on an attack roll, you will get 2 damage dice rolls. That's how we handle crit successes on attacks. You can grab a short rest in just 5 minutes of game time, twice between long rests if necessary. And you can also just use a bonus action to quaff a potion. And those are pretty much the house rules I'm aware of. So anything else from the peanut gallery before we kick in?
Be gay, do crimes.
Be gay, do crimes. That'll be the Into the Borderlands bumper sticker / motto. Okay. So, when last we joined our fearless band of heroes, they had parted company with the gnomes and were traveling across grasslands and have made it about 3 or 4 miles up into the Flinty Hills, far enough that they can no longer see the grasslands behind them, Pavel had climbed a tree and had an unfortunate set of circumstances befall him, which is exactly what happened. And as they were kind of picking themselves up from all of that, they heard the wailing and begging, little children off in the distance. It's windy, it's rocky, it's a kind of a gray day, and that's what you hear as a party. You hear the voices of some children, and they sound like they're in distress, and they're to the forward direction.
Nora, I hear them. And I grab my maul, Abigail, and I take off at a run towards the voices.
Okay. You are on what is slowly disappearing, like it's a road, right? We had roads across the grasslands. One veered away to the southwest, this narrower, less traveled road kind of leading you to the southeastern center area of the Flinty Hills, and it is turning more into a path than it is a road anymore. And so Stoneheart has barreled up the path into the hills between trees, rocks scrambling up as he goes.
Yeah, I immediately go after him. I just come down from the tree and I'm brushing myself off as he runs, and I grab my bow and sprint after him.
Okay.
I guess I would look at the rest of the group and say, well, I guess we're off. And then I grab the reins of the donkey and I start running with the donkey that we have with us. I'm not leaving him behind. Old
Right.
Bill.
Old Bill!
Old Bill the donkey.
Lyala will also follow suit, taking off after the others.
I'll swear, grab my sword, and run after them.
So we've got Stoneheart, we've got Pavel, we have Flint and Bill, we have Lyala, and then finally Harlow bringing up the rear as you scramble up this path. And it's up and down and around. The hills are kind of densely crowded in there. So once you get in there, you almost feel like you're down in a holler. You have to look up, and you can tell you can only see the sun for parts of the day. So densely packed are these hills. And as you're scrambling, you've gone 100 yards, 200 yards, and you're, be quiet, you damn children. And they scream more, screaming and so forth, carrying on. Let us go, kind of carrying on, be quiet. And you hear a kind of a thud and, kind of thing. And as you round a bend, you come around the base of the hill, and there's a little bit of a broadening of the space, and you see before you a large type creature. He has what appears to be a large sack sort of slung halfway over his back, and it's kind of falling, and in that sack appears to be motion. And by large, you might think that maybe it's hard to say, because the sack is moving and all that, and it's a grimy looking gnarly thing. But you could see that you could probably put a lot of stuff in this sack. It's big, even for the size of the large two-legged humanoid that's carrying the sack. And this big old thing is wearing looks like some skins. Maybe he had skinned the animals. They're just kind of fashioned to thankfully cover things that ought to be covered for the enjoyment of us all. And he also has a large club in one hand. He's kind of trying to manhandle this sack, and he's headed up the path, trying to quiet whatever's in the sack.
As soon as I round the bend and take in all that information, how far away would you stay?
You can see him probably about 25 feet up the trail.
Okay. I want to take my bow and I want to fire at the hand that's holding the sack.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack.
All right. I'm just deciding which dice I should use.
Grond is gonna grind you into bits, so there's no sense in fighting me, chillin'.
Guys, this is a way to start off a D&D session. That's a
20.
20.
Boom.
Whoa.
Nice. Roll your damage. It's 2 damage dice. Congratulations. By the way, just for the viewers, we roll these babies.
So
You will
sweet.
not You will not see roll 20 with this group. We all agreed early on to roll dice. So
before I roll, Stavrik, who it looks like has played with Wiley at Gen Con, just donated 500 bits. That's another divine reroll.
Nice. That is another. Thank you, Stavrik. Yeah, he's a fellow from West Virginia. We played with Shane with the Greyhawk Channel DM at Gen Con. Thanks, buddy.
So that's going to be 15 damage on that.
Okay.
Stavrik thinks you should re-roll that nat 20.
Hell no, man. We're going to let you enjoy that. So, describe the scene, Pavel, as you loose an arrow with great determination and skill.
Yeah, so I run. I see what's going on. I sort of internalize that information, and mid-run, I pull an arrow out and do like a running shot, and it I think like sinks into like in between like the knuckles of his hand, sort of like cutting tendons and whatnot along the way.
Right. Okay. Wow. This is one mighty dude, and the bag slips, and he gets it. He just bellows. His blood's gushing down his hand. The arrow is like through the hand, right? And you can see the hand is splayed open. But he's somehow managed with like two of the smaller fingers to grab, and the bag is just flailing away. And he turns around, and I'd like the rest of us now to roll initiative, please.
Well, I apparently used up my one good roll.
10.
Who rolled the 10? I'm sorry.
Oh, me. Sorry.
Okay.
8.
What's we got?
Got 11.
Lyala, what'd you get?
17.
Nice. Okay, so here's our order. Lyala will be first to act. Then Stonehurt. Flint, what did you get? I'm sorry, I didn't ask you.
I got a 10.
Okay. Then will come Flint. And then Harlow. And then the creature. And then, last but not least, our good friend Pavel and his nat 20s. And so, what you had before you was this big, nasty, he's got like a necklace with teeth on it, the big club. And like I said, his hand has been split, right? Like this, the fingers. But due to this guy's incredible strength and a really ass-kicking dex save at disadvantage, he managed to beat a DC 15 and hold on to that sack.
All right.
And so the sack still flails because, obviously whatever's going on in there has no idea what's going on outside. And so, Lyala, I would like you to tell us what you're going to do.
Okay. So she's concerned about the kids in the sack, but she also wants to take this guy down quick. So she's going to cast Guiding Bolt.
Okay. Do your best, lady.
It's 16.
That is enough to hit.
Yes. Okay. So he will take 4d6.
Owie.
So let me get that. And then also the next attack against him gets advantage.
Okay.
So good. I love Guiding Bolt.
Yes.
That is sweet right there.
13 points of damage.
Okay, so 13 and 15. So you see this bolt of energy. What does your guiding bolt look like, Lyala?
It's just a bright beam of white light.
Okay. So this bright beam of white light, you see Lyala do her spell business, and this bright beam of white light right to the chest of this fellow and pushes him back. And once again, he staggers. No, like. And he starts down the path at you guys. And you can tell he is really hammered pretty damn well. In fact, you've singed away many of the skins, the creature, wild animal skins he's wearing on his upper half. And but he's still swinging that sack, and he's got his club, and he's raising his club, and he's started down the path. And Flint, it is your turn.
How close can I get to this guy?
He's within 20 feet now.
Awesome. I'm going to run at him, make a slide, and try to get between his legs, and then take my 2 axes and bash him in the back of the knees with the blades.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Nice.
All right.
All right, come on. That is a 20.
Nat or dirty?
Dirty.
Okay.
Dirty 20.
All right, so that'll be 1d6. That'll be 6 damage from each of the axes.
Okay, so 12. He howls and looks down at you as you go through, and he looks completely confused, completely bewildered. Down comes the sack with a big thud, and the screaming goes on. Now you notice there's a rope kind of tied around the top of the sack where he had his hand on it. Blood's all run down the sack, down his arm, and he is looking rather not well off at all. I believe, Harlow, you are the next to take a turn.
Is he looking particularly hurt?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's looking hurt. He's bleeding. He's got 2 axe wounds in the backs of his legs. By some miracle, he's standing, but it doesn't look like that's going to last long. He's bleeding profusely from the gash. His hand was severed mightily with that arrow that's still embedded in it. He's got burns from the radiant damage, and then, like I said, he's got significant hamstring concerns at the moment.
Okay, that changes what I was going to do. All right, how far away from him am I?
About 20 feet.
About 20 feet. All right.
Yeah, you guys are all kind of piling up the path, and you were actually last in line, but obviously as you guys get up there and ready to take your attacks, everybody fans out a little bit, and so you're all about 20 feet.
Okay.
Except for Flint, who is now directly beneath this big giant beastie.
All right. I'm going to run up to him, take a 2-handed hold of my sword, and try to disembowel him.
Lovely. It sounds delicious.
A 12.
I think you guys are enjoying this just a little bit too much. He, as you approach him, right, he growls and he's wobbly, and he brings that club up and he tries to grab it with the other hand, and you could tell he's struggling. And he goes to parry your sword with the club in a rather even clumsy for this big guy, right? You wouldn't expect this guy to swashbuckle, and he doesn't. But your blade easily, 2 hands, you're training, you see the parry coming below the club and across his midsection. And so give me some damage on your great swing there. And what's the weapon we're using, a 2-handed sword?
No, I wield a long sword, so I can either 1-hand or 2-handed.
Right, gotcha. Yep.
Over there.
Very nice.
Plus 1d10 plus 3. And that is 11.
Very nice. So go ahead and give me a description as this blade finds its purchase across the midsection of this beast, this fell, nasty, and by now you and Flint can tell this dude hasn't bathed in, well, however old he is. So tell me what happens to this guy as you disembowel him.
Harlow comes up there with her big 2-handed blade, her black marbled blade, shoves it into his guts and just drags it right across and pulls out the spray of fluids out to one side.
Icker. And so as this happens, right, this giant thing kind of separates and falls back from the impetus of your blow, but only half of him falls back, right? His waist stands rather firm, and then this ichor oozes out. And I would like to have Flint make a dex save. Since she did not spend her bonus action, I will give you a dex save to roll out of the way of the wall of book that is coming your way.
That is 18.
I'd say you're good to go. And so as you finish your move through the legs of the ogre, and behind you comes Harlow, right? You go through the stuff, you hear it all behind you, and this guy just starts to fall over, his spine snaps, and he splits and falls back in a steaming pile of death on the path. And so you have before you a wriggling bag of screaming and carrying on in common, and in some other weird little dialect you don't quite understand. Look at it, let's go, kind of stuff going on in this sack. There's a rope tied around the top that seems to be fairly snug. You don't recognize it as any like official knot or anything, if any of you have that in your background. And so what would you like to do?
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll run over and cut the sack open as best I can. Just right underneath the knot, because I'm probably not going to be able to get it, so just underneath the knot with my sword.
Careful.
So as you cut the sack open, right, you start to see a little hand, and the sack falls down, and before you are three very short, young-looking and sounding little people with very wide eyes, curly brown hair, kind of brownish tan skin, like little little Indian tan little kids, summer tan sort of skin tone, and they're just standing there looking at you, and they look down at the thing, and they look at you, and they're kind of frozen. They don't. Hey, what happened? There's looks to be two boys and a girl, and they have bare feet. They're wearing kind of green and brown, kind of colors of the wild, if you will. Bare feet with a little bit of fur on top of the feet, thick curly hair, long fingers, little bellies, and they look to be scared shitless. Anybody have any experience with halflings that might recognize these as such?
I would.
Nope.
Okay, well that's what you have before you, is three halfling youths of an undetermined age.
Hey, wee ones, it's okay. Don't worry. You're okay now.
Who are you? What happened to Grond? We want our mommy and our daddy. And the little girl stares at Flint. And the other two see the little girl staring at Flint, and they're all staring at Flint.
Hello.
And they don't seem comforted.
It's okay. I'm okay, I think. Are you okay?
He put us in a sack, and he took us, and he said his name is Grond, and I don't know what happened, and where is he? Is he? And they're all just kind of really out of sorts.
I will go over to Old Bill and open up the sack that has the saddlebag that I know has like some of the sweetbread that's left, and I will get out a couple pieces and offer them to the kids. It's okay.
They look at you very suspiciously and look around. We need to go home. I'm not sure. Where are we? We need to go home. He had us put us in a sack.
Do you know where home is?
And they're really confused. And the one, the quieter one takes the sweetbread and munches on it, looks at you guys. Not bad. And he passes out to the other two, and they eat and get quiet. And food is a thing for these little people.
I'm gonna walk up, sort of scratching my head, and I go, if you were able to see around, are there any landmarks you might recognize for getting home?
We live in these hills, yeah. We live in the Flinty Hills. We live in the Flinty Hills.
And we're in the Flinty Hills. But is there anything in particular about your house?
They point, and you can see in the direction that one of the males points, a kind of a trodden, beaten path. Like, okay, this big dude has probably been down this way. And also, the path that you now see as the youngster points goes on in the other direction, opposite of where you are. So it appears that might be Grond's walking trail, and by Grond I mean Grond. Might be his walking trail. Grond. Grond.
So I'm going to point back. I'm going to point along where they're pointing, and I go, "You live that way." Do you want to come with us? We'll take you home. You're muted.
They all stand there wide-eyed. I'm trying to dodge telephone rings. They stand there all wide-eyed, little lip nodding. We have to go home. Our mommy and daddy is the mayor.
I'll pick up one of the girls and kind of put her on my hip and start looking.
She clings to you and starts sobbing. Like, all she needed was a little comfort, and she released, right? And the two boys are kind of rebounding, and they're kind of rolling their eyes at her, like,
I give the boys a look.
Well, do you little ones want to climb on and have a ride, or do you want to walk and lead the way, be the scout for us, as it were?
I think we'll lead the way, says one of them, if you don't mind. And so they take you back down this path, and they're looking carefully because it doesn't look like it's an established path. But it's clearly been trampled a few times and through the brush and so forth. And they pick their way through, and you guys go for probably quarter to half of a mile, and you hear voices. You hear the crackle of torches as it's getting later in the day. And you hear older version dialect voices than that of the child. I think they might have gone this way. Come on now. I only pray it is still alive, the damned old ogre. We harmed our children. And around the bend, in the flickering torchlight, you see a group of 6 male, taller versions of these little people with pitchforks and rakes. The one has a sword on his belt, all carrying torches, and they march up the trail. Halt! And the 3 kids, the girls try to scramble out of your arms, Harlow, and they bolt down the path, and they all cling to the dude with the sword. Father, his name was Grond, and he was a big nasty, and they're all carrying on, and they switch in and out of common and what apparently is probably their halfling dialect. And he's hugging them, and everybody's crowding around. And then that all stops for a minute, and the remaining 5 of these guys approach you and block your way. Hello. Apparently you're not the ones who have absconded with the mayor's children. But what became of the ogre who did?
You'll find him dead in a pool of his own innards down the path. Thanks to, and I point at Harlow, thanks to our gold friend right over here.
They all stop and they look at Harlow. They look at Flint. And they clearly are a little overwhelmed. Do you remember, think Ewoks, C-3PO. They're all kind of like, whoa. They start eyeing your weapons. The children hush and get behind their father. And he steps forward. Balthazar Brushy-Toes, mayor of Brightwater Creek. He tries to be all impressive. Well met, and I cannot thank you enough for saving my children. Let us go back to the village and make haste, and there we'll hear your tale of great conquering heroism and bravery and courage, and we'll feed you and let the worship begin, right? They're just all falling all over themselves. And none too careful worrying about if there's anything out there that maybe there was another ogre. They're just ready to rush off, back to the village.
All right. I won't let my guard down during the.
Please, be the guest of our village. Stay as long as you like. Let us go back. It's not far from here. And so they head back down this path. Kids in front. The 5 guys kind of eyeing you suspiciously, just, especially Flint and Harlow, just because of the very, very, very different appearance that you present. And they lead you through the hills and into an area where you see what you would probably, if you were into halflings, know to be a typical halfling settlement. You can see some doors cut into the sides of some of the hills. You can see some small clay with sod roof, little flat, 1 or 2 room little dwellings. There's a big center kind of circle area that looks to be where there are cooking fires and tables for celebration when that's necessary and all that. And out from one of the larger huts, if you will, sod houses, rushes a woman in her skirts, all, and the kids jump on her, and Balthazar drops back. You'll have to excuse my wife, Greta. She's, well, it's the children. She's just happy to see the children. I'm sure she'll come to greet you when she's done making sure all the fingers and toes are present. So, welcome to Bright Mill Creek. Please tell us your tale. Can we get you something to eat or drink? Are you hungry? Do you need rest? What can we do for you? And all these little dudes start piling in.
I'm always up for food.
Make it so, we shall feast on mutton tonight. And so, dudes take off, and fires are lit, and tables are pulled together. The cask of ale is rolled out and hefted onto a table, and before you know it, within 3 minutes, a celebration is set out before you. Root vegetables, breads are on the tables. You can see goats for milk, off, as you kind of get your bearings around the village. And what you've stumbled into appears to be a small halfling community. And as you're kind of getting your bearings, Greta, brushy toes, comes up and bows before you and takes each of you, looks you in the eyes. Please accept my thank you for saving my children, Griff, Beanie, and Cecilia. She kisses each of your hands and presses a carved piece of bark that has a mill wheel carved into it. Nicely, it's been honed and sanded, and it's almost like it might be a calling card of their village, something that they find value in. And she presses it into each of your hands as she thanks you warmly, with tears down her little halfling face. The children are off playing with other children, apparently no worse for the wear.
I would look down at the piece of bark in my hand and say, "This is lovely, thank you. What does it mean?"
It is a medallion of our village. We are a milling and farming community. We've lived here for many generations. And it's just and she points over and you see a small, crudely crafted sort of mill. There's a creek that kind of drops down from somewhere behind the hillocks and winds its way kind of on the eastern edge of this camp. You came in from the west, and there's the creek and the mill. So that must be Brightwater Creek. And you are in Brightwater Mill. Excuse me, I botched some of that. So the village name is Brightwater Mill. That is Brightwater Creek, and so here you are.
Well, thank you. I will treasure it.
Well, not indeed. Now I must go tend to the children and see that you are fed well. And off she goes in a bustle of skirts and such things that, flowers falling out of her pockets and, dusty flour on her arms. Maybe she had been making bread earlier, that sort of thing. And off she goes with a group of the lady halflings, and they disappear into a couple of the buildings to apparently make ready some other foods while you visit with the males and afford yourself a lovely time with some excellent breads. And again, some root vegetables are laid out for the roasting, and so it begins.
I'm going to lean over to Flint and I go, I've heard halfling food is really good.
I think you think all food is really good, Pavel.
You're not wrong. But, this is supposed to be really, really good? Just, more than average good.
If you say so. I hope they have coffee.
I don't know, it's worth a shot. I might as well ask.
And potatoes.
There are potatoes, carrots on the tables, rutabagas, and some of the men are peeling and getting things ready. Looks like they have a means by which they can cover them and roast them in the fire. And so all those preparations are being made. And Balthazar comes over. Oh, come with me to the center table, of course. You shall dine with me. And he brings you to a table. There are 5 places set around it. His is at the head. There are tankards of ale laid out. So please make yourselves comfortable. I wish to hear your tale. What has happened with this Grond, I believe the children said he called himself? An ogre of some ill repute in these parts.
Yeah, that's what they said he was called. We didn't really have time to acquaint ourselves with him. We dispatched him pretty quickly upon coming across him.
Yes, I understand. The children said that they heard sounds of fighting, and it was like a minute or so, and it was over. We would never have stood a chance if we had to take him on ourselves. I don't know what I can do to repay you. You can see he's almost like faint, just considering the thought of trying to stand down this giant ogre. He's been pilfering sheep, or something has. We presume it's him. We've had sheep come missing, we've had goats come missing, and now the son of a bitch tried to pilfer our very children. What is this world coming to? I mean, again, some of the other guys can kind of attend to him, oh, it's okay, Mayor, that sort of thing. He pulls out a pipe. A bit of the weed, yes. And you can see he's got a bag on the table. Not that kind of bag of weed. It's just pipe weed. This is a drug-free operation, a family channel, but good halfling weed. Please, if you have a pipe with you, by all means. And he gets a nice big cloud going and tankard of ale.
I'm gonna sort of not really used to that.
So tell me, how did you dispatch, as you say, this Grond so quickly? What happened?
Well, I'll give most of the credit to the 3 members here, and I point to Flint, Liala, and Harlow. I shot an arrow at it, but it didn't really seem to do much to him other than hurt his hand. But Liala used some amazing magic.
Their eyes get real wide at the magic, you say?
Magic indeed. Flint here took some axes to its knees, and then Harlow, with a bit of a coup de grace, if you will, sliced him from side to side, spilling his innards.
That was that for the old Grond.
It's quite an impressive sight. And I like nod to the 3 of them.
And they're all just
admiration.
Like they're now hanging on your every word. They've pulled up some chairs and stools, and there's the table you're at with the bread and the maybe some goat cheese, the ale. You guys are eating and talking, and then there's like a 3-chair deep ring that is formed as they're all just like, magic, you say? They're all talking to you. Magic.
Yeah. As soon as I notice the sort of larger crowd, I'm gonna kind of sink back and try to disappear behind my food, sort of uncomfortable with all the attention.
So then, a dwarf I recognize, and he looks at Flint. So what manner of creature are you? He says, probably, could be possibly sort of rude, but more in an obtuse, ignorant way than an intention to be rude.
I'm human as far as I know.
And he regards you. I don't recall seeing a human with such skin and things.
Iron deficiency.
He just doesn't register, yeah. What parts are you from?
Outside of the Fostwood was my home. And then the Fostwood became my home, so...
To the west?
Yes.
I see. And what of you, Golden Beauty? Looks at Harlow.
When Harlow had first got when I had first gotten the reaction from the hobbits at my appearance. She went into full noble mode, so she's sitting very properly, very upright, and kind of having a cold demeanor on. I'm what you call a tiefling, and I am from Estra. Good hobbit.
He just shrugs. Well met indeed, milady.
Hobbit.
And he kind of clicks into noble mode, like there was a time maybe he had some like mayor training, or he's like trying for noble, and he's a kind of a fop. He's still, smoke is going out, and kind of drinking. He's got some spabble down his face, but he's trying to mayor up for you. Well met, lady. And what of you, dwarf? Where are you from?
I am from the Ruby Citadel, a monastery along the Gull Cliffs.
You could tell, like, the only thing that so far has rung a bell with him is the Folkestwood, which might make sense. It's probably geographically the closest of anything he's heard you say so far. And then you magic wielder. What? Tell me about yourself.
There's not much to tell, really. I'm from a little bit of everywhere, and she just kind of shrugs and smiles.
You'll forgive our curiosity, but given the locale where we live, we don't get many strangers through here, especially ones that apparently can dispatch a big nasty ogre quickly like you have. And especially people made of gold. He looks over at Harlow quickly, and as she looks back, or iron, or whatever that is. You look to be made of the hills themselves, creature. Human creature.
My name is Flint, if that makes it easier for you.
In his eyes, I know what Flint. You look like Flint. That's it. Well met. Flint indeed. That seems to give him some relief, because he knows what Flint is, and you look like Flint, and your name is Flint, and so now it's all like his little light bulb went.
His little halfling mind can comprehend now.
And what of you, bowman?
My name is Pavel. I'm from quite close to Relastra, the Grandwood Forest. If you've heard of it.
I have not. But at any rate, you are welcome here to eat. Stay as long as you like. What else can we do for you? And you see some ladies and some younger males come out with plates of cooked meat, that sort of thing, some platters, and put some plates out, and so now it's time to really get your grub on. The roasted vegetables are being presented, and so it's time to eat.
Again, sort of noticing the kind of crowd of onlookers, I'm just gonna start eating away and sort of clam up.
Well, it so happens, as I eat, we are here on a quest, and we were glad to dispatch of this ogre that has been bothering you. But if you could maybe guide us in direction of the queue, that would be greatly appreciated.
The queue, you say? Queue. I'm too young to know of many of the ancient tales and ways, but there are those among us. We are small, but we do have our elders with us. About 250 are in our village, a few of which have seen many seasons. Perhaps we can summon them to join us. And with that, a couple of hobbits or halflings dash off to apparently, or assumedly, that's a new word, retrieve these elders. I'm myself not aware of any queue.
It was an ancient fortress built by some powerful mage
It's meant to be where the Flinty Hills, the Gamboge Forest, and the Rakers meet, northwest of here.
Of course, I know of the Flinty Hills, and of course the Great Rakers and the darkness of the Gamboge. We have heard rumor of some strange goings-on over the ages in the valleys between the Rakers and the forest, but none of us have traveled that far away. You see, there are bands of Gnolls, goblins and orcs in the hills, and obviously an occasional ogre or two, although this is the most we've ever suffered at the hands of a nasty beast like him. Bugbears. The hills are simply stiff with bugbears in places. And you can tell as you're talking, as soon as Stoneheart mentioned quest, dudes leaned in, and they'd stop drinking, So it's interesting because they're super curious, they're super thankful, and they're incredibly suspicious all at once. If that makes any sense. You can tell you've wandered down home into the holler, haven't seen the sun or light of day in a while, kind of a community. If you didn't know better and you knew what a banjo was, you'd swear you heard it playing as shit. That's the one, yeah, pretty view, ain't it? I know of tales, but I don't know much detail. Ah, yes. Here comes old Hammy now. Hammy Burfoot can tell you a tale or two, and they bring in this decrepit old halfling. Get him a chair, get him an ale, and he's like, "Get your hands off of me!" He can take care of himself, and obviously the dude is so feeble he's going to fall over if they don't, get him propped up and so forth. And he sits down and looks around the table with a little bit of disdain and a lot of condescension, grabs himself a leg of meat, like he hasn't had one in a long time, like they've kept him locked up in the home, kind of, and starts eating, kind of ignoring you all, just enjoying, he's getting grease on his face, and, and he's, it's funny, they all have that brown, tously, curly hair, nobody's got gray hair, nobody's balding, they're 100% halfling. And after he polishes off and cleans the bone and eats a couple of roasted vegetables and sops up the goodies with his bread, he pushes his plate back and lights a little pipe, looks over at the mayor and grabs a wad of pipeweed. All right, then. Looking for the queue, I hear.
We are, yes.
Well, I don't know where the blazes that is, but I am aware of some tales of a great wizard and his friend, a warrior from back in the ages. Rogan and Zelika, I believe, were their names.
Yes.
Does that ring a bell?
Yes, they were supposed to have built the fortress we seek.
When I was a younger halfling, anyway, I had a chance encounter once with Rogan. I was off hunting and exploring as I used to do. The best blueberries, of course. Several leagues to the north and east, up into areas we no longer frequent, thanks to the Gnolls. I recall a nice walk I was taking, and I happened across this large human who gave me his name as Rogan. And he told me tales of battles with barbarians from the far off in the north, and how he and his companion... And he starts coughing, any minute now this dude may check out. And not go to bed, check out, but check out, Got 37 cents left on his debit card, kind of check out. And he told me of his friend Zeligar, and how he missed him so that Zeligar had gone on some journey and had never come back. And Rogan did not know necessarily the nature of the journey, or if he did, he didn't divulge it to me. But that he took a mysterious trip and was lost. And Rogan claimed to be from the foothills of the Rakers. And that is what I recall of Rogan and Zeligar. But they were once heroes in these parts. Did a great many good deeds to keep the valleys and the hills safe from barbarians and the evils of the world. And you could tell he's kind of done. And he just... and the mayor's like, all right, so there you have your story. And he just pretends the old geezer isn't there anymore and goes back to eating. So apparently, that is what we know about Rogond. Is that what he called him? Rogan? Yes. We are simple folk. We carve wood, we grow wool, we harvest, we hunt,
get attacked by ogres.
And we defend ourselves such that we can. There are enough of us that the goblins don't give us trouble. We encountered folks on their way through the hills to trade or to mine, and that's how we get our news. What do you know? I say, perhaps you could help us with some information. And he gets all business-like. Even though, go ahead.
I was just asking, what sort of information?
Even though all you've done is give him information, but now he feels like he has a trump card after the old feller's tall tale. Just news of the area. We've heard rumors of all sorts of things happening down in the lands of the big folk. Orcs gathering, goblins raiding, ghosts or some such off in the far eastern hills. Any information that might help us keep ourselves safe from such things?
Well, we did come into contact with some goblins and a rather large bugbear not far from here on our journey. They were dispatched with rather quickly, though, and they were chased after by a group of huntsmen, I believe.
Yes.
That was back in the Ogre forest.
Yes, in the Ogre, yes. And many elves and woodsmen inhabit the Ogre. From time to time, we trade our breads and our flowers, for that is our main production here. And he kind of gestures towards the mill. Such grains that we are able to grow in the hills. We make a fine flour. Perhaps you've heard of Brightwater Mill flour. Perhaps not. But, so we trade from time to time with various mining groups, settlements in the Ogre forest and such.
Then we, just outside of the Flinty Hills, we ran into those gnomes.
Those gnomes.
They were sort of...
yes. Gnomes indeed. They can be rather trying at times, taking things apart, not putting them back together well. They offered, one group offered to fix our mill wheel, and we had such a time getting it working again after they came along to help improve it. Watch those gnomes. Never turn your back on them. But kind enough chaps.
Yeah, they were heading to the Blemu Hills. Where,
his eyebrows. The Blemu Hills, you say? That's where we... yes, that's where it is rumored to be ghosts or some such. The dead walk the earth.
Yeah, that's what we've heard, too.
The dwarves who come from that region have shared with us. Sounds awful.
I don't know.
And as this is going on... Go ahead.
I was about to say, other than that, I haven't heard anything really.
And as this is going on, there's drinking, and as a couple tables away, there might be a little song singing, some games with stones and sticks and things, and just typical any tales you've heard of halflings, typical revelry. One of the buildings looks like it might be like an indoor, akin to a tavern. You see halflings in and out of there with tankards of ale and so forth. And all at once, as you're talking, Balthazar stands up and climbs up on the table. Good fellows, one and all, please hear me. And everybody so he has some authority in the community. They all immediately get quiet, stop, and turn, holding their tankards. I say, let's raise a mug to our heroes from out there. How about a cheers and a thank you? And this great roar goes up from the hobbits and the halflings, and ale is spilled, and he sloshes his mug in all your directions and drains it. I proclaim today a holiday, Children's Saved Day in Brightwater Creek. This day shall go down in our history. And he stops and he looks, and there's a guy sitting at a table talking to another guy, and there's a quill, and he clears his throat. The day shall go down in history. And the guy looks up and grabs the quill, and starts, Children's Saved Day, a holiday for halflings. And the guy's like, the scribe, town scribe, writing it down, and they're all clapping and carrying on and backslapping with you all, and they've surrounded you, and there's much ale spilling and bread chewing and meat eating and fire and halfling joy as you're surrounded.
I'm going to sort of scratch my head and go, is that all it takes to have a holiday for you guys? How many holidays do you have?
He scratches his head. Well, there's harvest. There's planting. There's mid-growing. There's first flower. And he nods toward the mill. And there's last flower. And best flower. There's early bread and late bread. And then best cask. Yes. Those are the main holidays, yes. At least the ones in the spring and summer. And they all kind of start laughing and go back to carrying on. And there's, music such that there is, but it's really singing. There's no instruments, They're a simple hillside, wooded, scrubby, farmy, simple halfling village. But obviously, they haven't seen such goodwill and joy in some time. You've saved 3 of the mayor's children, Griff, Beanie, and Cecilia, who have now kind of warmed up to you now that they've seen their father. And so from time to time, they'll peek out from behind somebody, run up, give you a little hug or a high five, bring you a stick. Cecilia brings Harlow some flowers for slaying the ogre, things of that nature. So you're just enveloped in halfling goodness.
I will, after I'm done eating, I am going to find 2 likely looking sticks and start whittling 2 swords. No, 3 swords. 3
nice.
Swords.
That will definitely draw the attention of some of the younger halflings when they see you whittling. Because if you notice, no weaponry other than the sword that's probably too long for the mayor. It drags if you stoop low enough. Probably more ceremonial than useful. Other than that, you don't see any, typical weapons. You just see the one sword. So as you start to fashion those swords and they start to become, they transform from stick to sword, the little ones in particular, pointing at it. It's like the mayor's stick over there, kind of thing, as you do your whittling.
When I finish, I will call the 3 children over and say, for you acted with bravery, you stood or you kept your wits and alerted us to the danger, and for that I thank you greatly. And as I draw myself up as a paladin of Ula, the goddess of the gems and below the mountain, I name the 3 of you guardians of your village. And I present them each with the sword.
This is the 3 little halfling guys.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you had to guess, based on what you know about human youth, these are probably comparable to 11, 12-year-olds. The boys are like, whoa! And they take the swords and they start whacking each other with them and stuff. And the girl's just like, am I a princess then? She doesn't know what the hell's going on with this whole thing and sword, and she's just blown away. And while the boys are doing, whacking and thwacking and howling and chasing each other, and off they go. And Greta's behind them, trying to keep them from hurting themselves. And she hugs the sword and comes over and stands in front of you with these big, giant, little halfling eyes, and just grabs you and hugs against you. So you have this hallmark dwarf halfling moment.
Unfortunately, little lady, it will come to you as you will find as you grow older. Most men are quick to rush off, and they're going to rely on your wisdom to really point them in the right direction and wield not only your sword but theirs as well. It's the duty placed on the females is both a heavy burden, but it will bring you much joy.
She just stands there taking it all in, like, "Oh, always love this sword, Mr. Dwarf. Thank you." And she hugs you again, and she's just, you have absolutely struck this child, this young lady, if you will, who almost seems, while she's easily touched, she seems wise and old beyond her years. Now that she's recovered from the fright of that stinky old nasty Grond fellow.
I see that happening, and I'll lean over to Harlow. You should show her how to beat her brothers up with that.
Well, he's mentioned that I've been putting the flowers in around my horns. I probably should, but if I did, she'd probably be running this place within a year. Look at these.
That would be so cool.
You're not wrong. I get up and I go over to the little girl and say, "Do you want me to show you what I did to that ogre?"
Her eyes get like, "Would you really? Oh, yes, please." And she dashes off with you, looking at your horns a little curiously, but, "Oh, look at the flowers. I love them. They're so pretty." And she got the sword in hand, and off she goes with no fear.
I give her a quick little lesson on what to do and how to disarm and those basic things.
Yeah, she's an apt observer and does her level best to try to emulate what you're teaching her. Obviously, an 11-year-old young halfling is fairly awkward and not strong, but by golly, you can tell she is all in on trying to figure out what she's supposed to be doing with this sword, and she's locked on you as you teach her. You have you can tell you've really made a mark. All of you have, not only on this village, but in particular the children.
I think we just made a future adventurer, guys.
Right? Yeah. Pay it forward. As you guys are doing this, the scribe guy comes walking over, and he's one of the few halflings who has a bit of a beard, right? It's patchy. There's no mustache, and he walks up. "Oh, Jimbo the Miller here, also the town scribe. It seems our illustrious mayor," and he kind of rolls his eyes, "neglected to mention, when you were talking about gnomes, a rather interesting batch of fellows came through town perhaps a month ago, seeking the very same queue you're looking for. I thought that might be of interest to you."
Did they give their names?
They did not. We didn't actually encounter them. And, you can tell he's trying to put on like, "Oh, I got some info here. I'm gonna," so he's trying to be all, leans in. "We spied them on the trail through the hills, not far from where you dispatched old Grond. And they were talking about the queue. Being gnomes, they're hard to understand, of course, as I'm sure you well know. But I'll not mistake for sure. It was indeed the queue they were seeking out. Yes, that's it, the queue."
Interesting.
And they were big for gnomes, now that I think about it. But we drew a bead on them with our sticks and our stones, and had they attempted to come our way, we would have felled them like sapling trees.
I'm sure you would have, noble sir. Noble and terrifying sir. I say that I'm actually laughing.
I'm quite sure that they sensed us observing them, and they made haste up the trail. Yes, indeed. And you can tell there's some hyperbole and a couple of guys go, that's exactly what happened. That's correct, yes. Jimbo is telling you what exactly happened there, yes.
I'm going to sort of like get down to like eye level with him, and I'm going to go, do you have any books on magic here?
What? Books on magic? Why would we need such things? We have flour, we have wheat, we have sticks, we have water and a mill.
I'm going to walk away.
Magic, they kind of snort.
Well, thank you for the warning on the gnomes. We will be sure to stand ready in case they are up to nefarious ends.
The mayor, interestingly enough, is sleeping now. At the table, pipe on the table, head on the table, gruel on the table, almost snuggled against the grizzly old hobbit who's also asleep forward on the table. But the revelry continues. And old Jimbo, still doing his level best to try to impress you. I could show you where the large folk stay when we do have overnight guests, which has been some time, but the cabin still stands to the north end, and when he points to the north, it looks kind of behind many of the homes, and there's little paths and trails that lead up that way. I can take you there. There's more than enough room for 5. It's more of a large space, really. We used to stable some ponies in there many years ago, but it will keep you dry and keep you out of the weather, and you're welcome to stay there until, you may stay there.
I'm gonna stand up to my full height and like get really close to him and look like basically straight down at him. I'm gonna go, lead the way, Sir Scribe.
Well, nothing. Jimbo the Miller. I run the mill, of course. That's why they call me the Miller. And I serve as scribe because most here are just not cut out for such things. He puffs his chest out. Clearly pleased with your recognition of his stature in the community.
Oh, yes. It takes a great mind to be a scribe.
Ah, so you must be a scribe then, too. And he leads you up the path. And bring your furry old mule along. He'll find a nice bit of grass behind the cabin.
Can I like grab a stick while we're walking there?
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's some scrub trees. They've got their arrangement. And again, this is about 250 of these little halflings live in these smaller hills and little dwellings tucked around. But if you think of if you've been to the Rocky Mountains with the scrubby rocks and boulders, but now you see a few more trees and pine trees, and it's just not as dead and barren and gray looking. They've chosen a place that's, there's a little better smell in the air, some pine in the air, some flowers, and it's a little more pleasant than the scrubby, just barren, rocky stuff you were in. And certainly some sticks, some dead wood, and so forth. Enough to grab something, and he leads you up the path and behind the cabins.
Okay.
And probably about 300 yards outside, kind of the end of where the residences, the hills, and the little buildings and things are, you see a cabin that's probably 25 by 25 square, thatched roof, and you could see how that might have at one point been big enough to stable a few ponies and the necessary tack and foodstuffs for the horses. There's big double doors, and he comes to the double doors and undoes the leather thong that's almost rotted. We can't be too careful these days, what with ogres milling about, and the thing just kind of, yes, we'll tend to that. And he, pulls the doors, and it smells like, very stale hay, horse manure, smellish, but stale. Nothing fresh, very stale. But it is all yours, and you'll see there are stalls with, 3/4 high walls, places where you could tether a horse inside the stalls. There's a trough at the wall side, like the outside wall of each of the stalls. And so, easily, there's probably 10, 5 on each side of those. You could easily, and with the open area in the room, easily have plenty of space, a little bit of privacy if you need it. Is there anything I can see to it that you need that I can... And this dude's fumbling over his words. He's a little drunk. He's trying to over-impress you.
I'm gonna again walk up to him with stick in hand. I'm gonna go, well, as you said, we can never be too careful, what with ogres and all. And I hand him the stick and I go, so I think you can stand outside and defend us, as you're so brave and noble, as you showed the gnomes.
Yes. Until, of course, I have to go back to the mill soon.
I'm just going to close the doors.
He's out there talking.
From the other side, I'm going to say, good night, good scribe, with all the, just scorn in my voice that I can possibly muster.
It gets really quiet out there.
I'm going to turn back and I go, I don't like it when people insult magic.
And so there you are, in your quarters for the evening. There's hay strewn about. You can easily create 5 nice little rustic barn-type nests for sleeping and so forth. So what would you like to do?
I think Pavel will just go straight to bed. He's had a long day after falling out of that tree.
There's a fire pit cut in the center of the floor in the dirt. Some stumps for sitting, or large rocks. It's pretty rustic. There's a hole in the roof where Spunk might be able to escape should you need to make fire, and ample, very, very dry wood stacked in one corner. So Spartan yet comfortable.
I will sit up, speaking to Honora, and then he will hear me mumbling and talking to and writing and scribbling out, and as I aspiring to be a bard. On their way to find the Q, what excitement these adventures seek. A mighty bugbear with goblin archers too. An ambush was tried, given away by a smelly reek. The fight was quick, the enemy slain. Onward toward the glory and honor they had in their sight. Onto a bath in a river, and some gnomes, what a pain. An ogre with little children in a bag, he looked ready to fight. Okay, what's next?
Can I give Stoneheart inspiration for actually writing a song thing?
Absolutely, well done, Stoneheart. Well earned. So make sure you credit yourself with an inspiration. Good for 1 reroll.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to see him writing this stuff down and walk over and be like, so, writing, super easy, right? Yeah. How do you, do that?
Well, you take a quill, and what the hardest part actually is getting it so the stupid ink stays in the quill, and then you can write, and you gotta dip and write.
No, I get the technical aspect. It's just the words are kind of, how do you words?
Okay. Well, it's a long process, but thankfully we got a lot of time. If you would like, I'd be more than happy to help you. Do you want to learn how to write common or dwarven or primordial?
I was actually common, I guess. I know how to write, technically. I just don't know how to write what I want to say.
Okay,
I'm gonna stand up out of my little thing, and I'm gonna go, the little stall I've sort of sat in, and I'm gonna go, she can't write poetry.
I can, it's not very good.
Oh, I've never let that stop me.
We'll go to sleep.
Okay.
You're not my mom.
You're not the boss of me.
So, I like to do every other sentence rhymes, and I don't know why. That's what I like. It's just what I like. But you can do where it doesn't rhyme. That doesn't make any sense to me because it's a poetry and it's supposed to rhyme. But they say that you don't have to rhyme it. Then it's not really poetry, is it? But you just pick what you want to say, and then you think of words that rhyme, and you just put it down. And nobody really cares if it's good or not, because you just feed them a lot of ale, and then you start singing, and they're gonna hoot and holler no matter what.
So you're saying that I should get the person who I want to read this poem incredibly drunk?
That has always worked best for me.
I'm gonna bust out of the stall at this point, and I'm gonna walk over, like pulling something out of my pack, and I'm gonna pull out a book, and I go, Stoneheart? No. Flint? That is no way to impress anyone. Here, this is a book on essay writing. Read it, memorize it. Listen, you have to have a strong opening, a solid body, and a very strong finish, or else you're not gonna impress anyone, okay? And I'm gonna hand it to her and walk back.
Dawning realizes, you see it, oh, you want for someone in particular. What worked for me is I bought her a hammer.
I don't know if she'd want a hammer. She already has really cool knives. I can't top really cool knives.
But
I've been sitting in my stall. I left the door on. I've been watching this. I'm just gonna shout to say, tell her she smells like flowers and her eyes are like limpid pools in the moonlight.
But she doesn't smell like
good.
flowers. She smells like leather and steel.
Well,
Not that I would know.
I'll find a fancy way of saying that. Just
You guys are no help at all. Have any of you ever been in love?
yeah, I bought her a hammer.
Have any of you who are not dwarves and live on completely different normal customs been in love?
no.
Well, okay, if
I
not,
thought I was.
if she wouldn't like a hammer, what is something she would like?
I have no idea. I've known her for about a day.
Are you sure it's love then?
I don't know what else it could be.
Some people mistake lust for love.
What the hell is lust?
It's just wanting a good roll in hay.
Why would you want to roll in hay? It smells awful.
Well,
He's
when
talking about sex!
you want to get naked and spend some quality alone time.
Well, we've already spent quality alone time.
Were you naked?
No, why the fuck would I be naked?
Well, because then you can get your bits together.
What?
Oh my god!
Oh my god.
I feel like we're not on the same page here.
You're just gonna hear quiet muttering from my stall. Tritharian, help me.
I close my stall and I just wrap up in my blankets and I don't want to have this conversation.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you are at the stage where you think you like someone and you would like to do something or get something for this someone to let them know you're interested, but you're not ready yet to quite get naked and rub bits together.
I guess.
Well, then really get something that means something to you and give it to her or him, and if it's gonna happen, then they will appreciate that it means something to you.
But I already did that.
Well, then hopefully by the time we get back, when we see them again, they'll have something to say about it.
Thanks for the help, and I just frustratedly roll over and pretend to go to sleep immediately.
Well, I thought it was good, Nora. I don't know. You know, I'm not good at this type of stuff. I bought you the hammer. I'm going to bed.
Dwarvish lessons in love.
Rub your bits together.
Stoneheart romance was
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh, that was something.
Yeah, something.
As a time reference, it's the sun has gone down. It's summertime, so if the sun's down, it's got to be 10 in the evening, 10:30, maybe 11 since you had to trump back to the thing. So, just as a reference.
I will offer to stay up first watch. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not really going to trust the halfling, are they, that you said at watch, Pavel. I think he's probably at the very best sleeping outside, but he probably went back to his place, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was just insulting him. I didn't really care if he stood outside.
So I'll take first watch.
I'll take second.
I'll take last watch.
And I'm just gonna sleep because I'm lazy.
So you settle in for your long rest then?
Yep.
Sack out for the evening. Everyone grabs a stall. There is no... The smell you noticed earlier, very stale. You could tell this once was a stable. There are no issue. You're not going to get poop on you or anything like that. It's long dried up and dusted away, and it's just... there are some old piles of hay you can strewn about, some old sacks and bags and things to fashion some sort of bedroll or use whatever you brought with you. But each of you drop off, with the exception of Stoneheart, into a peaceful slumber. Stoneheart, would you roll for me a perception check with advantage, please, since you're up and on watch and alert?
I got a 20.
That should be sufficient enough for you to notice from the front end, which would be the south of the building. You came north to get to this building, and the doors were facing you. And so from inside, those doors face south. And from the front region of the building, you hear some weird, light, rhythmic grumbling, gurgling sort of sound. Not loud, but you hear it.
I will stand up and walk over that way and see if I see anything.
The doors are not tight, and there are knots in the wood that you could maybe peek out of one or two, or some cracks between some of the panels, or where the doors, are supposed to come together as they close. There's a crack, so you could maybe peer out of that.
I will look, or if I have to, I'll push one of the doors open a little bit.
Okay. You scan the dark landscape. It is darker than dark, as is given to the wilderness. You hear the various and the sundry crickets and frogs and things, but you unmistakably hear the sounds of snoring. And as your gaze, kind of catches the 160-degree range you have peeking out of the door somewhat, you notice at the foot of one of the trees, still clutching a stick. It is the form of what must be the little scribey halfling guy, contentedly sawing logs at the foot of one of the trees near the front of the stable, the cabin. And that appears to be the source of your sound.
They're terrible people. Pavel especially.
He's terrible people. I just did right by magic.
I will have a discussion with Sir Brandwald if I should mess with this. And after a discussion and telling Honora, it's what you do when you're in the army, is you pick on people who fall asleep on watch. I am going to try to pick him up without waking him up, hold him in my arms, and carry him. How mean do I want to be? I'm going to carry him over to the river.
No.
Oh, the Brightwater Creek.
Yes, the little stream.
Yes, and given that it's coming down out of the hills, your estimation on its temperature is probably pretty frigid. Do me this. Let's do a stealth check, followed by a strength check. Stealth to get you there quietly, keep him asleep as you pick him up. Strength to carry him to the stream.
Stealth at disadvantage.
You're wearing armor of some sort, right?
Yep, chainmail.
Yep.
So I got a 6 on my stealth.
Okay. He stirs as you stoop over him and lets out this nasty smelling bread and cheese meat belch and kind of spits up on himself and kind of rolls back over. And he even opens his eyes and looks at you and smiles. And,
Nighty night. Just good. Sleep tight.
Goes back to snoring. Coughs a couple times, but apparently he had had enough ale that even though he rolled higher than you by only a little, he's still in pretty rough shape. So,
and as a strength check.
This you should get an advantage. He's a halfling, and you're a dwarf.
Okay, I got a 17 on the strength check.
You're in good shape.
I love what's happening right now.
My God.
Okay, and then as I head over towards the stream, what I'm going to look for is just like the bank, a steep bank, where the bank is steep as it goes down into the water.
Yep.
And I'm going to try to set him into the bank so he doesn't, but if he turns at all or if he moves much at all in the night, he's just going to roll. And the stream isn't too deep, is it?
No, you're not. It's rocky. He'll bang his head. He'll get really wet and cold and pissed off. Yeah, your time in the army and your knowledge of general tomfoolery as you were at some point long ago a young dwarf enables you to pick the right spot, prop him up so that it wouldn't take much but a little stirring, and in he goes. And so you set the trap, the halfling trap, and he is snoring and sleeping fitfully, perched at the precipice of about a 3.5-4 foot drop where he would tumble down into a pool of water, not a foot deep, rushing at the base of the little hill there.
And then as my time on watch comes to an end, I am going to gently wake Pavel and say, when you go on watch, if the halfling hasn't taken a bath yet, he's over by the creek. I'm sure if you start him, it will cause, if you cause him a start, I'm sure he will roll. I'm just letting you know, he should get wet before.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And then I will wake up. Who had taken second, Lila or Layla?
It was Harlow and me.
Okay, Harlow. I'll wake the two of them up and crawl into my assigned stall.
Very well. And so the watch changes, and Harlow, you're up. Is that right?
Myself and Liala.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's your watch. What do you do?
I'm going to get comfortable by the fire. And I'll clean my sword.
Probably not a bad idea, considering the earlier events of the day.
Yeah.
So you absolutely pass your time with no incident. Just again the sounds of the breeze, maybe a couple of trees creaking, all things you've heard before, given your experiences out in the wild. And so your watch shift ends without any concerns. Seems these little halflings have themselves a peaceful little place here in the hills.
Wake up Pavel and go back to bed.
All right. So I'm gonna go outside and take a peek at our friend, the scribe.
Yes.
Is he still there? Still in the
He
bed?
is. He's sleeping fitfully, just as Stoneheart described.
Cool.
And you'd swear he hasn't moved an inch based on what Stoneheart told you about his position and location.
So, what I want to do is I want to go down onto the bank and like take 2 sticks and like shove them into the bank, and then I'm gonna very lightly string some canvas across, easy enough that if some were to roll down, it would fall off the sticks. And then I want to go back to the barn and find the smelliest, dankest bit of hay and whatever that I can. I'm going to scoop it up. And I'm going to go, like, rest it in that little pocket of canvas I make.
And where is the pocket of canvas relative to the sleeping halfling?
It's
Jimbo the water.
It's basically down at the water's edge.
I see. Nice.
And then I'm going to go back up, get on the other side of him and from the bank, and I'm going to just banshee scream in his ear.
Okay. As you banshee scream in his ear, an arrow thuds into a nearby tree about 2 feet above your head, and you hear a chortling, crazy bunch of sounds from all around you in the woods, and the halfling's eyes flash open, scared to death, and he looks up at you and tumbles down the hill, crash, bang, smashes through the canvas, collects the dank, stinky glob of hay as he tumbles into the creek with a howl and a string of halfling sailor words, and right there we're going to take a little break.
Cliffhanger! Oh my god, what's happening?
Let's take 10, and I think Stump has some business. Are you going to do that on the break, Stump, or when you come back?
I will.
Sorry?
Yeah, if somebody, can you run a drawing and let me know who the winner is with the users in chat, or
Yeah, I think we can do that. We've got, looks like 18 viewers right now.
So I'm gonna roll a d20.
Just roll a d20 and we'll go down the list.
okay, I will do that.
And just one of us roll again.
Yeah.
Or one of the bots.
Okay, there's 21 when I actually count them.
I think that includes the moderators, which don't.
Yeah, I don't want to get in on the giveaway.
I
Yeah,
have
I'm
my
good.
own. I don't need
I already got my Castaneck shirt.
I got to order mine. I hear a dice roll. Drum roll, please.
That was me. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Palm Tree 169.
Palm Tree 169. Let's post that in chat.
Congrats.
Good for you, man. Solid.
Why is it not pulling up?
I think it's because he hasn't actually said anything in that, and it won't allow you to like at someone with the little pull up unless they've actually said something.
Oh, is that what happens?
Yeah, I've been monitoring chat and I've noticed that.
All right, let's take a break. Take 10. And what the heck's going on here? We have quite a cacophony in the hills about 300 yards to the north of the halfling village.
We're all gonna die.
We have an arrow in a tree, we have chortling, we have a wet halfling, and a shocked Pavel. So, let's take our break. 10 minutes?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you guys and gals. Wonderful.
So exciting. What's gonna happen?
We out.
Roll for it.
Oh, okay.
Why'd you say anything, guys? We're screwed.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
All right, we're back from our little break, and it was a tremendous break. The only problem with the break is that it's not D&D.
Yeah.
So, do y'all want to D&D some more?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think what was it? I had just single-handedly won a battle. Is that what was going on?
No, not at all.
No.
I think you're about to get rolled by a group
No,
of halfling
Pavel.
teenagers.
No, no battles have been won.
Let's find out what's happening.
What has happened, however, is an arrow appeared out of the darkness and soared above Pavel's head by about 2 feet. Not even close to be concerned about, but it in a tree as Pavel rolled or caused the halfling Jimbo the Miller to roll down the hill to his figurative demise into Brightwater Creek, which runs a chilly 60 degrees in the summertime because it's spring fed and all.
Yeah.
And so while the hobbit halfling guy is wailing away in a half drunk, half hungover, angry stupor at the bottom of the hill with dank, nasty hay clinging to him, you hear chortling like, I don't know, like dogs howling, yipping, and it's coming from, you're a little bit of ways. You're kind of out the front door and to the left, which would be east, southeast of the dwelling, and the sounds are coming down the hill from maybe behind the cabin, and are kind of in a half circle, pressing their way in, and another arrow whizzes in, and misses you, and there you are, Utilitas Pavel.
Do I recognize the make of the arrows? Because, like, you mentioned earlier that the goblin arrows were pretty makeshift and kind of haphazard.
These are definitely along those lines, but the chortling is not goblin-y like the other goblins.
I'm going to look down at Jimbo and I'm gonna yell, "Get to the town! Warn the townsfolk we're under attack!" And I'm going to sprint to the barn as fast as I can.
Okay.
To get my
another arrow, quite far away from you, but you could tell you're being fired upon. One of them. What, you have armor, don't you?
My AC is 17.
Okay. One of them lodges into. Is it chain?
Half plate.
Half plate. Yeah. So one of the tips lodges. It's a stone tip. But apparently pointy enough to lodge between plates as you slip into the cabin, and you hear clawing, scratching, chortling, howling, barking, yipping. You hear one deeper bark, almost as if it were commanding or giving directions. A number of voices, arrows hitting the building, clawing and scratching, making its way around to the front door. What do you do?
I'm going to yell, "Everyone, wake up! We're under attack." I'm going to then grab my bow and arrows. Is there a second floor or some sort of hayloft? And are there any windows up there that I would?
There are some windows. There's one window that you can see above the front door. If you're looking again at the front door of the barn, which is now hanging ajar, but you can see a large square opening above that with nothing. Covering it, and there is in the back half of the dwelling, with a rickety-looking ladder, what appears to be some kind of a loft area.
Okay, I want to climb up there. And head towards the window.
Give me a dexterity check at disadvantage because you're wearing somewhat plate-heavy-ish armor, and it's not a really awesome-looking ladder.
Okay. 19.
Okay.
Wait, 1 second. Sorry, disadvantage.
Yes.
Okay, that's still a 16.
Okay. So you scramble up the ladder, and there's a couple of moments where you really feel like, man, that was close. This may not end well.
Yeah.
But you managed to to get up there. The rest of you wake up in enough time to roll initiative as you hear all of this chaos going on. There's a fire in the center of the little cabiny barn thing, stable that you're in, and you hear Pavel howling about waking up and attacking, and you hear the sounds of battle ensuing outside and barking, yipping, chortling, yodeling, dogging sounds.
Okay, I rolled a 15.
So let's all roll initiative. Okay, so Pavel's got a 15.
25.
Nice!
Dang.
It's a good initiative.
25? Is that on that 20?
No, it's 17, but I have like +8 to
Nice.
initiative because of one of
Very
my.
nice. Very nice.
Stoneheart got an 8.
Leala?
13.
And Harlow?
I got a 21.
Ooh,
Okay.
Dang.
Let me set initiative order. Flint will be the first to take a turn. Following Flint will be Harlow. Following Harlow will be a group of these things. Following the group of those things will be Pavel. Following a second group of these things, or following Pavel is a second group of these things. Following the second group is Leala. Then another dude. Then Stoneheart. So, Flint, you hear all this going on. You quickly spring to life. Maybe it's your woods living outdoors sense, but you're a light sleeper, and you hear Pavel race in, and you're up, and you have yourself at the ready, and you hear what I've described, the chortling, yowling, scratching, banging arrows outside, and it seems to be working its way around to the front of the building where the doors hang open. You see Pavel racing in with a look of kind of shock and concern. What do you like to do?
Are there any enemies within my sight?
Not yet.
Alright, I'm gonna go and bust out the door and see what I can see.
So you're going to kick the doors?
Yeah, I'm gonna kick the
Or
doors
just push
out.
them open? Okay. They're hanging ajar. They're maybe 1.5 feet apart where they would normally, close to the join. And so you've got about 1.5 feet wide gap you can see through. And you can hear the sounds. You blast the doors open, and you see 5 sort of tall, slender, muscular-looking, dog-faced, humanoid creatures, and they're gibbering and howling and looking like they're coming in and going to eat you, kind of a thing.
Alright,
What would
I'm
you-
gonna go to attack one of them, like try to smack his muzzle with my axe.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your attack.
That is gonna be a 10.
Okay. So you swing with your axe, and he deftly dodges it and chitters and gibbers as if he's laughing at you.
Alright, I'm gonna
And
swing.
I'm gonna. Okay, yeah, you get two-handed fighting style, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that is gonna be a 15.
Okay. Your second swing with the axe, as he dodges one way, you come in on the other side and you whack him right upside the head, causing him to howl. Please roll some damage.
Alright, that's gonna be 6 damage.
Okay. He howls a mighty howl and raises a paw hand to rub his face, kind of shocked that this little odd-looking little creature could hurt him so. And he does not seem impressed with you at all. And that concludes your turn, yes?
Yeah.
Very good. Harlow, you are next up for action.
Okay, I'm going to. So, how are they grouped outside? Like, is it just?
There's a kind of a mob of 5 that you can see right now in the entryway. As Flint blew the doors open, they were coming around to the front of the building, and the doors open, and they came in. Flint cold-cocked one, And so they're all, within 10 feet of Flint. One is an immediate melee.
Okay. I am going to. Alright, as I'm gonna walk up to the one that Flint is hitting. As a bonus action, I'm gonna cast Hex on him.
Okay. Can you describe for me what Hex does?
Okay. Hex is.
And for our viewers at home?
It's what I do is I place a curse on a creature that I can see within range. Until the spell ends, I deal an extra 1d6 necrotic damage to the target whenever you play within the range. Also, choose one ability that you cast. Choose one ability when you cast the spell. The target has advantage on the ability to cast.
Okay. So you basically are going to. Go ahead.
No, that's not going to do it. Rest in trouble.
And this guy doesn't have a save against, it's just an effect, looks like. And it's a bonus action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alright, and I am going to hit him quickly with my sword.
Okay, what ability are you going to choose when you cast your Hex spell?
Dex.
Okay. And you're going to take a swing then with your action.
Yep, and hit with my blade. Just single-handed, so 1d8 will be the damage if I hit. I get a 17, so that'll be 17 plus 5. So.
Okay, it's a hit. These guys are wearing, hide type. They're not armored or anything. Some of them have shields. You see them holding spears, and they're frothing and yipping and snapping, and general mayhem is ensuing.
Oh yeah, 8 damage plus I also do my 1d6 without it. Oh, that fell off my table. So I do 8 regular damage, 8/6 damage, and 4 necrotic.
Jeepers. So as this flurry of attacks between the spell, the Hex, you see her make a little motion. She utters and tosses her material component as necessary. Boom. Nobody really sees anything happen to the creature, but then she follows that with a sword blast that literally cuts this guy down from shoulder to waist. Down he goes.
Nice.
And the others, they just seem to be angered by this.
Do I kill him?
He's down.
Oh.
So, one down, and there are 4 in front of Flint and Harlow, and these guys now have initiative. So I'm going to make a spear attack, and I'm going to roll against Flint first. Creature number 1, creature number 2, 1 is down against Flint. A 2 probably doesn't hit.
Nope.
Darn it. Does a 6 hit?
Nope.
Okay, new dice. We're going to creatures 4 and 5 are going to make their attacks with spears on Harlow, and they're just gibbering and trying to surround you in like rabid dog nastiness. The look in their eye is just absolute hatred and evil. Would a 17 hit Harlow?
Yeah.
Okay. You can have 3 points of damage.
I think this is the
As
first
he
damage I've taken.
pokes you with a spear. The second one tries to get you. Does a 14 hit you?
14?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And he rolls in with his spear, but it's kind of a glancing blow. They kind of clank spears together. He just catches you for 1. As he kind of scratches your side as they, kind of do their thing with you. We now move to Pavel. We're next in order.
All right, so I'm gonna kick open that window if there's any sort of glass or door covering it.
There's no windows up top where you are. That ledge started about halfway into the back from the door. If that thing was 25 feet from front door to back wall, you're at about 12 and a half feet where the front edge of that loft is. Okay. So you're probably 12 feet or so. These guys are in the doorway.
So I can still see it.
Oh, absolutely. They're within your line of sight. You have an angle of attack from above, just where you want to be with a ranged weapon.
Great. So I'm going to pull an arrow and draw back. Is there a discernible leader to the group, perhaps?
Not that you see, but you hear that in the sounds of battle here, you can tell there's stuff going on outside.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just fire into the crowd and see if I can see what sort of damage I can do.
Very good.
Okay, that is going to be. I rolled a 9, but it's still a 17.
That is sweet, man. That's some arrowing right there.
Oh,
okay, so you bury an arrow into the midsection of one of these creatures. Again, one is down. The other 4 are unharmed as of yet.
Mm-hmm. And that does 8 damage.
Okay, so this guy yowls as you bury an arrow just above his left hip, and about half of your arrow is sticking out of it. He's kind of clawing it, gibbering and, trying to, like a hurt dog. Mm-hmm. And so there you have it.
Okay, that's my turn.
Okay, very nice. Nicely done. You hear scrambling and barking outside. You do hear what sounds to be like orders being given, and the creatures in the doorway respond by not leaving. Right, that you can tell they're being yelled at, and we're going to move to Lyala's turn.
Okay, so I'm going to approach the 4 in the doorway with my battle axe and take a swing.
Very good. Do your thing, Miss Cleric.
That will be a 19.
A 19 will hit easily, so let's hear about some damage and describe to me what you do. Which one are you attacking?
Probably
you have numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 in front of you in the doorway with Flint and Harlow.
Which one took damage already?
Number 2.
Okay, so she'll attack probably 3.
Okay.
So she's gonna swing her axe, aiming for whichever arm he's holding his spear in.
Very nice.
To try to get him to drop it.
Very good.
That's gonna be 11 points of damage.
11 points of damage as you drop your axe across this guy's arm. And he howls with a mighty howl, and sure enough, the spear clatters to the ground as the arm just falls limp at his side, nearly severed, and he is spurting blood, and drops to his knees, looking up in shock, as the other 3 look down kind of in shock at the mighty blow from the axe of the cleric.
But he's still up, right?
He is alive, but he's on his knees, bleeding profusely, arm almost hanging by a tendon, as you just absolutely hammered him, and he rolled a 1 in his strength check.
Okay, I'm, as a bonus action, going to use my War Priest ability, which allows me to make another attack when I use the attack action. So.
Okay. Do your best.
Ooh, that's a 17 natural, so a 23.
Okay, your attack is successful. Is this another swing with the battle axe?
Yep.
Okay, so you bring your battle axe down. Tell me how you dispatch this fellow.
She's gonna go right at the neck and just take the head off.
No problem. He was down to 1 hit point. Head gone, neck spurting blood as he falls in a heap beside his companion, just twitching and spurting blood as the floor pools with dark Icarus blood at the feet of Flint, Harlow, and Lyala. You see behind the 3, 2 more file in and behind them you see the shadow of an even bigger, similar humanoid barking and gibbering at these fellows as you watch the battle ensue. But they are outside the building, but within line of sight. Stoneheart, you are up, sir.
I will come rolling out of my stall, naked as a jaybird. Dog, if you guys wake up my wife, there's gonna be hell to pay. Abigail, let's get these guys. And I'll come running out, carrying them all, and I will run forward and...
Yeah, but don't forget your hammer.
Yes.
Nobody wants to fight the naked guy.
Swing as hard as I can at whoever the first one I come wandering into.
Okay. I will roll randomly. You swing an uninjured one.
Okay, and I am going to use my recently given inspiration. Well, AC 13.
AC 13 is a nice hit with the maul, but he blocks it with his shield and growls and spits at you. He's like almost lost his mind with rage and evil and anger and hunger.
I'm using my inspiration which is a 24. 25.
That will get the job done. You have hit him with your maul, such strength and anger that you've actually dented his shield and pounded it against his shoulder. Roll your damage.
And I get 12 points of damage.
He drops. You have blown the wind out of this guy, and he is down with one big swing of that hammer of yours.
Now y'all get before she wakes up. Get!
Anything else, Mr. Nope. Stoneheart?
That is
all right. We're to the top of the next round of combat. Flint, it is your go. You have an injured creature in front of you. You have one of the originals next to you, and you have two more rushing in, and a larger version of these guys. As you look up, he's slowly advancing with this evil, wicked grin, licking his fangs and his teeth, slobbering. He's holding a large glaive polearm and looking particularly wicked.
All right. I'm going to back up and get a running start and try to plow through the 4 pawns to get to the cane. Let's see how this works out. That would be what would that be? Like roll for strength or?
Let's do a strength check.
All right.
And I'm gonna have just one go one-on-one strength against you.
All right.
As opposed to any other. You're just gonna try to barrel past this guy. So we're gonna go mano a mano.
All right. So I rolled a 21.
Okay, I rolled a 4. And with my bonus, doesn't quite get me to 21. So, the net result of that, you see Flint just grit her teeth and do that thing she does where she runs, right? Full head of steam, blows right past this guy. In fact, I'm going to have a dex check to see if he stays on his feet. He wobbles hard and almost falls. And she goes right by him. And within seconds, she is face to face with this big, nasty, large, appearing to be the chieftain, the guy, the main dude.
I'm just gonna yell, "You woke me up!" and try to hit him with both of my axes. So first axe is a 21.
21 will hit.
And then second axe is a 16.
Okay, both of those are hits. So you see Flint just barrel out there, "You woke me up," and just starts, Ginsu kniving on this guy with her hand axes. Roll your damage.
Right. So that's gonna be 13 damage total.
He howls in anger and rage, trying to dodge your shots. He has no shield. He has this big two-handed, huge, nasty glaive, kind of jagged blade on it, chainmail shirt, big, tall, hide pants, and you just hammer him in the thighs with those axes, and he is not happy at all.
And that's it for my turn.
All right. Miss Harlow, you are next in line.
All right. For my bonus action, I'm going to move my hex to the big bad. Because when the last one I had on dies, I'm able to move it as a bonus action.
Okay. And you were, roughly 15 feet as he, on his turn, closed in. So at the start of your movement, you're about 15 feet away. Flint is there going toe-to-toe.
Yeah, the range for it's 90 feet, so definitely.
You should be able to get there.
I'm going to keep where I'm standing. I'm just going to raise my hand and go, ding dong, motherfucker. And I cast Toll the Dead.
Toll the Dead! Such a
love it.
Oh, man. That's badass right there. I love you guys. Aren't DMs supposed to get mad when you're fighting their stuff? I'm not that DM. Toll the Dead. Why am I not finding it? A wisdom save? It's in the Xanathars or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Xanathars.
Okay, I had that one open. Let me see how my roll did for me. Wisdom save. So I got to hit at or above my wisdom. Is that right?
No,
what's your DC? What's your DC?
You have to hit at least a 13.
A 13, and my wisdom gives me no bonus, so he fails his save. What happens to my man?
Well, since he took damage, he's going to have to use a D12, which will be. I hit 12, so
yes!
my damage is 6, which is just a 1, so just 13 points of damage.
13 points of damage, so you. And this is again a longsword, right?
No, this is all. I never did any melee damage. I'm still back where I was.
Yeah, it's all spell.
Just doing the Toll the Dead is necrotic damage.
Necrotic, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so you see Harlow do her thing with this spell, and this energy wells up out of her and blasts this guy, and he growls, and you see part of his chest start to kind of sizzle and rot away. Nasty, and he's howling in pain, not very happy with what happened right there. It was so nasty it actually tore through his chainmail and rent the chain, bent it, and it's all, nasty, and you can see this ooze ichor coming out of there from this necrotic damage that you just inflicted on this guy. Is that your turn?
Just double check. Yeah, that's everything I can do. What else? I'm going to. There's still Gnolls between me and him, right?
There are 4. 1 has taken damage, 3 have not. 2 of the original 5, and then 2 more that have wandered forward are between you and him.
All right, I'm going to stay where I'm 2 then.
You're going to do what?
I'm going to stay where I'm 2.
She's not moving, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so that ends your turn, and the 2 closest Gnolls, one that's been injured, one that has been not, are going to take their turn, and I'm going to roll a little morale for these guys. One of them, the one that's been injured, starts to skulk away as the leader, indicate, keep going, and he's dragging himself away, and around the corner he goes. Slowly, trail of blood. He's been hammered once. Actually, I think it was the initial longsword attack that did the 8 damage to him.
Yeah.
But anyway, somebody got him once. I don't remember who it was. But.
Yeah. Wouldn't Harlow and I both get an attack of opportunity on him?
I would say that Harlow would. And yeah, Lyle, you haven't left that area yet, have you?
Nope.
Yeah, so you could each take an attack of opportunity. The other guy stands his ground. Go ahead and take your attack of opportunity, and I will finish their turn.
You go, Liella?
Yeah, I'll go. That is a attack here. It's a 15.
Okay, your 15 is successful. Go ahead and roll your damage.
6.
6. Okay, and this is on the injured guy. He goes down. Your battle axe, you just raise it above your head. Boom, bring it down on his skull. So as he's trying to skulk away, you're like, yeah, I don't think so. And so Duder number 2 goes down. Does anybody know in character what they're dealing with? Has anybody had any experience with these guys?
Yeah, I wouldn't have seen them before.
I may have read of them in my education. Can I roll a check and see?
Yeah, let's do nature. Since these are, they're not arcane, I'm going to go with nature.
When you're not proficient, it's just a straight d20 roll, right?
Correct. No bonus. Yep. Or whatever bonus, the nature, I think that's wisdom, right?
No,
you
it's
just
intelligence.
Intelligence, you just don't get your proficiency bonus.
Nope, don't know a thing.
Okay. Very good. You're like, damn, there's these doggy humanoid thing that are biting me and attacking me and spitting on me.
Bad dog.
None of which are like Gus, of course.
No.
Okay.
No, this is a saint.
The other guy who passed his morale check is going to take a swing, and I'm going to go 50-50 Harlow, Lyala. Okay, so 1 to 3 is Harlow, 4 to 6 is Lyala, and that is a swing at Lyala. Here we go. You ready? So he growls at you, bares his teeth, and two-handed tries to run you through with a spear. Let's see what that does with a bonus. Does a 16 hit your armor class?
Since she was woken up and she was not sleeping in her armor, she's at AC 14 right now, so yes,
okay.
It will.
Very good. You can have 8 points of damage as he hammers you with his spear.
Oh, Jesus.
How much was that?
8.
Yeah, I am hurting bad.
Okay. He obviously enjoys what he sees as he draws blood on the battle axe wielder who has currently taken down 2 of his compadres, and thus ends the turn. Lyala, it is your turn.
Somebody give me a newspaper. Bad boy.
You have 1 in front of you and 2 right behind him. They were pressing in.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna go after the one that's right in front of me.
That's the one that hit you?
Yep.
Do your thing.
That's a natural 14, so a dirty 20.
Okay, that's a good successful attack. Give me some damage.
Okay. So 9 points of damage.
All right, this dude howls in pain and agony, shocked at how this creature can swing this huge axe, bring it down on him, and you've kind of cut through the hide armor, put a big gash across his chest as it opens up and starts to bleed, and he kind of looks down in shock, howling. Significant damage, but still up.
I'm gonna use my bonus action for War Priest again.
Okay.
Another dirty 20.
Nice.
Dirty 20.
Yeah. That's 6 points of damage.
6 points of damage. You described for me how you dispatch this creature.
Clean and efficient. Let's go for the neck again and take off the head.
Another head on the floor. That's 2 beheaded creatures at the feet of the mighty cleric Lyala. Thus ends the turn. We have 2 more stepping in with the chief pack lord guy kind of pressing them as they both look very concerned about what's happening. One tries to bolt, the other stands his ground, affording another attack of opportunity for Harlow and Lyala as they are the closest. Oh, and I suppose Stoneheart could also take an attack of opportunity because he's right there. Because I have 3 people in melee. And I have Flint up at the Lord.
Yeah, sure. I'll go this time. I rolled a 14.
Does that include your bonus?
Yep.
Okay, so as he races away from you, he moved so quickly that you're just behind him with your sword blow, and it brushes, but does not find its meat.
Okay.
I got a 21.
Very nice. That is a good hit. Hit me with some damage there, Stoneheart.
4, 7 plus 13 points of damage.
Wow. You watch Stoneheart, clearly not in a good mood after watching both of his friends take damage at the hands of these nasties. And he lets out a big growl. Would you describe for us what you do to pummel and destroy this thing?
I just scream up over my head and drive his skull flat into the ground.
It crushes. His head separates. Gray matter starts to run on the floor. And now we have a pile of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 deceased of these dog-faced nasty things. And the pack chief, pack lord, looks very upset at what is happening. And we have one last regular duder. And I've got 3 choices here for attacks. So I'm going to do 1, 2 is Harlow, 3, 4 is Lyala, 5, 6 is the dwarf. And it looks like, Harlow, you're the lucky gal. He is going to take a swing. Does a 17 hit you?
Yes.
All right, so he takes a swing with his spear, and you get to have a point of damage from that swing as he glances, somehow penetrating your tough tiefling hide, giving you a scratch on the shoulder as he howls at you. It is yes, that guy.
I think we may have missed me.
Yeah,
Really?
I think we did.
Yeah,
I think we did. That's on me.
I was supposed to go after Lyala.
You go fourth.
Yeah, so you're supposed to go before
So,
me.
Oh, okay.
yeah, we missed you there. So go ahead and do your thing, Pavel. My apologies, gang.
No worries. There's only one more one down there besides the leader, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot him in the face. Dirty 20.
Nice. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Nope. Let's not drop the dice off the table. And that will be 12 damage.
Wow. So describe what happens as you run an arrow so far into this guy you can't see the fletching.
Oh, like from a top down, like right into his eye and out the base of his skull.
Nice. So you see this arrow come lashing out of nowhere, splits this guy's face. The side of it starts to fall off as the arrow vanishes, and as his head turns and he lolls over and falls, you can see the arrow has gone through and out the base of his skull as the last of these creatures drops. And now you have before you the pack lord. Flint is at his feet, engaged in melee. Stoneheart, you're 15 feet away from the pack lord, next to Harlow and Lyala in the doorway.
Okay.
What do you do, dwarf?
Who is injured at this point?
Harlow has taken damage, and Lyala has taken damage.
Which one's in worse shape? I look at both of them quickly. Is either one of you in particularly worse shape?
I think Lyala is probably in the worst shape.
Okay, I will, as my action, I will reach out and lay hands on Lyala. She gets 5 points. And then I am going to scream at Sir Brandwald to charge from the rear as I run forward and as a bonus action, just punch this pack leader right in the snout. Bad dog.
You're gonna. I love this guy. I love you guys. Do your thing.
Good.
Punch is a bonus action. So. Plus 6, 22.
You hit his armor class.
And 5 points right on the nose. Bad
He
dog.
howls and yipes. I love it. And rubs his face, still holding his glaive, growling and snarling, trying to bite you as you punch him in the mouth, and you hear bone crack. Are you wearing gauntlets? Are you metal gauntleted?
No, I'm completely naked at this point.
Oh, Duder sleeps naked. Just please kill me. I'll just be over here poking out my mind's eye when theater of the mind goes wrong. Okay, we are at the top of the order. Flint, you have before you a pissed-off, nasty, rabid-looking, gnarly, red-eyed, matted fur, hulking, huge dog humanoid that just got punched in the face by a dwarf.
Alright. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna use both my axes to hook his glaive, like the bar that he's holding onto, and rip it out of his hands.
Okay.
So what do I roll for that?
Okay, let's think about this for a second. I think what I want to have you do is make a dexterity check
Alright.
to hook that glaive with your axes.
Alright.
Make a dex check. And I'm going to say, because you have 2 axes, I think you should make that with advantage.
Oh, cool.
Plus, how tall are you?
I am, hold on, let me check really quick, because I don't know off the top of my head. I am 5'9".
Okay, this dude is all of 8 feet, and, you're down there by the handle, so go ahead and roll your dex check with advantage.
Alright, that is a dirty 20.
Okay, so you hook.
20s.
You hook, and I want you to roll strength now, and we're going to go strength on strength.
Alright.
To see if you can snatch this from his...
Oh, don't screw me over. Oh my god. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
Okay. You absolutely, with a flash of your axes, hook this guy's glaive, and he looks down at you, snarls, and you go to rip, and you pull the glaive, and he hangs onto it, and he snarls and snatches it back from you. But you feel like you almost got it. What would you like to do?
I guess for the rest of my turn, I'm just gonna tell him, fuck off.
Yeah, he's just like drooling and gibbering, and like he's almost lost his mind. Go ahead and take your turn, Harlow.
Alright, so he's only one left?
Yeah.
Okay. And looks like there's lots of people around him right now, so I'm not gonna bother coming over. I am just going to throw a Eldritch Blast at him. I'm just gonna twiddle my finger and go. 9.
That's the armor class you hit? Or damn? Well, that's always a hit, isn't it?
9.
No,
No, yeah, it's a
Or is
spell
there an attack
attack.
roll?
auto hit.
Yeah, it's a spell attack.
Yeah.
Okay. So does he have to make a save, or is it?
No, Eldritch Blast is a regular attack.
Attack roll. Okay, because I know like Magic Missile is an auto hit.
Yeah, so I didn't hit it.
Okay, very good. Ranged spell attack. Very good. So yeah, it drives right to the glaive, the metal of the glaive, and shoots down and out the end of that metal. It's like the glaive almost grabbed that energy and just grounded it. Because as you saw Flint try to hook it and pull it, as he pulled it back, it he scuffed it on the ground, and that energy just shot down the glaive and grounded and went into the earth. And so, what else would you like to do with your turn?
I think I'm kind of that mist, so I'm gonna move up towards him and move around, probably, so I'm not in anybody's way.
Okay. So you're just gonna move and get around him. Very good. All right, and so that ends your turn. And so we had Flint face to face, tried to hook the glaive. You had Harlow take her attack, and now she's maybe over to the left of Flint. Are you within melee range?
I am, yes.
Okay, very good. And so next are the dead Gnolls. So let's jump to Pavel up in the loft with his mighty bow of awesomeness.
Cool. How far? So you said there's like a window over the door, right?
Yeah.
How far away is that from me?
That window is straight across 12 and a half feet, basically. The front, if you're at the front of the loft, Pavel, the loft is probably about 10 feet above ground.
Okay.
And that square opening is straight across 12 and a half feet from you.
Because with a strength of 12 and being 6 feet, and with the athletic feat, with 5 feet, I can jump 12 feet horizontally. I sort of want to run, jump, and shoot through the window and then, like, hit the wall.
Holy crap. Okay. So you see Pavel vanished backwards.
That's an amount of stuff going on.
He vanishes as you're all down there watching as things are unfolding. And all of a sudden, whoosh, Pavel runs. I want you to make an athletics check to see how far we go here.
16.
Okay. I would say that you're able to get out to the wall. Go ahead and make an attack roll with your bow at disadvantage. Okay. Because, again, that wall that's from the bottom of the sash of that window to the top of the doors is basically blocking. He's under almost full cover.
I do ignore half and 3/4 cover.
Okay. So your jump enables you to still make an attack roll, but because you're running, jumping, partial cover, I'm going to have you make that attack roll at disadvantage because you're trying a really hard thing.
So I rolled a 4, but I am going to use my inspiration.
Might be a time for that. And you have used none of the group rerolls. You still have 8 in the bucket.
Okay, so now my lowest roll is 14 plus 8.
22.
Huh?
22.
22.
Good Lord. Okay, so you see Pavel, right, come streaking out of the loft, leaps, and draws the bow back. And just as he clears with the slightest line of sight, an arrow looses through and shudders into the shoulder of this big, honking, gnarly dude. So roll your damage.
10 damage.
10 damage. All right, and he howls as the arrow buries halfway into his shoulder and blood immediately begins to run down. It went through the chain, into the shoulder, halfway into his body. You crash into the wall. I would like you to roll for me. I'll tell you what, the barn is kind of rickety, so I'm not going to have you take damage off the wall. But you're going to take D10 falling damage, or 10-foot falling damage, which is D6, is that right?
Yep.
So go ahead and take that because the ground, as old as it is still fairly firm.
Take care you don't knock the barn over.
6.
So 6 damage as Pavel crashes into the wall. The wall is going to make a save on a D10
I hope
to see if he drops or goes and blows out the front of the barn. This is a DC 10 save. Straight roll, no bonus. He bounces off the wall. The wall shatters. Wood shards, and Pavel comes to a crunching plop.
Should I roll an acrobatics to see if I land on my feet?
You do not. No.
Okay.
The end is disqualified. But you come down with a thud behind Harlow and Flint and crash in a cloud of dust as you blew out that whole panel of semi-rotted dried wood between that loft opening and the top of the doorway.
I'm just laying on my back, knock the wind out of me.
Pretty stinking impressive. Layala, you are Pavel. I presume you don't have anything else you might want to do there. Lyala Bright, ladies and gentlemen.
How hurt is he looking?
He's looking haggard. He's still got the glaive. He's breathing hard. He's got an arrow buried in his shoulder. He's taken a punch in the maw, which is swollen and bleeding. He's taken 2 major hunks of damage. One necrotic, the other, I believe, was Flint's original attack with the axes in the thighs, and he is looking pretty damn haggard. Well into bloodied. His chainmail is rent from the necrotic blast and the arrow. His hides are cut at his legs from the axes, and he is not looking good.
Okay. Yeah, she's gonna charge forward and take a swing with her axe.
Very good.
It's a natural 18, so
You hit.
24, yeah.
Go ahead and do your thing. You hit.
11 points of damage.
Okay. As you see Lyala lift her battle axe above her head, as she describes what happens as she brings the final blow to this pack lord, you hear fierce little, "And let's get it!" as a little band of halflings comes up the trail with sticks and slings, and little stones begin to fly through the air. As Lyala, how does this guy go down?
In a rain of wood, by the way. Just
In a rain of wood.
all over you.
God, it's just like an amazing, like, cinematic moment there. It's done her good so far. She's gonna swing right across and just take his head off too.
Okay, he only had 4 hit points left, and you did 11. So I'm going to say that the head definitely severs all the way back to the back neck flap. Not quite all the way through, but it just lolls back, and the halflings all just stop. Just wide-eyed, and stand there as this guy just drops. And you all stand there catching your breath. You have 7 of these things at your feet in various pieces. You have the pack leader, who's nearly decapitated. You have Pavel, who's laying on the ground in a heap.
Yeah, I think I crawl to my hands and knees and like throw up a little bit.
I'm gonna turn around and be like, I'm going back to bed. And head back into the faceless shack.
Also, Mr. Mephisto just dubbed Lyala Head Taker.
Perfect.
Yes.
The headlingest of clerics. I love it. Nice, Mephisto. Very nice. I love it. So, you have carnage. You have a group of shocked halflings who were for their part ready to do their thing. But in the time that it took us essentially 3, almost 4 rounds, so less than a minute, and once again you've chewed through another combat encounter. You notice
they got some good shots in though.
Yeah.
Yeah. You notice on the pack lord, he's got a pouch at his belt. He has his glaive that's, a big honking glaive that's got notches out of the blade. It's not any fancy looking thing. There are spears. There are, dead bodies with, they're there. And the halflings are standing there, and Baltazar comes up. Well, I've never seen a pack of gnolls this brash and brazen that they would dare attempt to set foot in our village. It serves them right that they are dead. Like he had a hand in all of this, and he kind of stands and puts his foot on the dead pack lord and, draws his ceremonial rusty little kinked bent sword. By the Brightwater Creek, I say, be gone with thee. And the rest of them are all like cheering. What do you do?
I'm sort of like finally getting up to getting my breath and coming up to my feet, and I go, "Don't worry, we got it." Also, sorry about your barn. It was definitely the Gnolls that did that.
He's looking, they're all looking at the barn. The walls blown out, pieces of wood are hanging.
I am absolutely covered in wood chips and dust.
I'll send I'll stand there, scratch. Yeah, you did a good job there. Thanks for having our back. I'm gonna go back to bed.
Think nothing of it, dwarf. When you stay in our village, you have our protection.
Stoneheart's still naked, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Just check.
Yeah, there's just a lot of shock and awe going on.
Wouldn't that be around like halfling head height?
Oh, no, he's a dwarf. I don't know.
He's a dwarf, yeah.
Can I go loot the leader?
You can do whatever you like. It's nothing but dead bodies. The halflings, there's about 5 halflings, kind of this little military detachment, if you will. Jimbo the miller and the mayor and a couple of his other cronies are all there.
I sort of shuffle over, holding my ribs and my arm to my body, and I go, "Yeah, thanks everybody. Glad we could help." And then start to go through and see if the head gnoll had anything.
Okay, so he's got a large pouch on his belt, and as you inspect his body, again, he's got a pretty gnarly looking chainmail shirt. You guys did a number on that. It's very large. He has the large pouch at his belt that seems to have some heft. If you'd like to explore that.
I would.
All right. So you open that up, and there's all manner of detritus, bits of meat, bone, a couple of stones. There's
I'm just
feathers
through and throwing it out vaguely in the direction of the crowd.
But as heavy will do when in a pouch, you see the familiar glint of some gold in the bottom of that pouch, and if you take a few moments to count it, you've got 17 gold crowns in there. And you have a couple of small light blue shiny rocks that are jagged, like they've been just pounded out of the ground. That sort of thing. Does somebody have any sort of gemology-ishness or anything?
Would be the guy to ask. I'm gonna toss those over to Stoneheart. Hey, what do you make of these?
Well, as my goddess is the goddess of gems, would I have a...
You are easily able to recognize these as a couple of small, uncut, medium to low grade sapphires. A jeweler or a gem cutter could turn those into something worth something, but in their present condition, maybe 30 gold pieces each. Still some wealth. Nice couple little trinkets there. There's also a rather nice dagger at his other side. It's got a bone handle. It's smaller than you would think a fellow like him would wield, so your guess is it's probably from a kill. It's some loot that he got, but the blade is beautifully crafted, and it's a nice bone carved handle. Nice dagger.
For sure gonna take that.
Doesn't feel so much balanced for throwing as it's more of like a big hunting knife, like a Bowie knife type.
Yeah. Yep.
Are you gonna write that down, or should I mark it down in the party treasure?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna. I've got the gold and the knife. If you want to write down the sapphires or whatever they were.
Okay.
Is it just like a dagger for inventory purposes?
It's a dagger, yeah, like a big hunting knife type dagger. It would do dagger damage and do dagger things, but it's nice. It's very, very well balanced for hand combat, not so much for throwing.
Yeah.
I'd walk up to a Stoneheart and be like, could I maybe have one of those sapphires?
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
Thank you. I just sort of admire it.
Give it to.
What?
Pretty.
You guys are the worst. Shut up! And I storm off into the shack.
Before I go to bed, I will pick up what was there, 7 spears?
There were 7 spears, pretty much nice hand, and by nice I mean very functional, strong, stiff spears, jagged metal on the ends, wrapped with twine, rope, and hand carved sticks. They're not fine grade weaponry by any stretch, but
they're better than the sticks the halflings are currently wielding menacingly.
Yes.
I will hand them to equip yourselves with something that might actually hurt if you poke someone with it.
Oh yeah, well, they're like, oh yeah, we can cut these down and fashion some fine spears from them. Thank you, Master Dwarf.
With my newly acquired dagger, I want to finish cutting off the head of the gnoll, and I go, here, mount this in your town hall or something, and drop it at the foot of the.
Yeah, the mayor's kind of and one of the militia guys kind of comes up and grabs it. Perhaps we could put it on a post outside the entrance to the village as a warning to others who might try to take us on.
Yeah, you do that.
And he scuttles off with the trophy.
Hey, make sure make the scholar guy do it. He really seems up for that kind of work.
Jimbo just kind of glares at you, still wet from his encounter with Brightwater Creek.
While that's all going on,
curses you in halfling.
I'm going to be looking between it, Flint and Stoneheart. You guys aren't injured, are you?
Nope.
Okay, so she's going to look between Harlow and Pavel and try to figure out who's worse off.
Well, honestly, I'm going to use my my little bonus action second win. And as I stand there and I sort of stretch, I crack my ribs and I'm going to regain a D10 plus 1 HP.
Not too shabby if you can get that.
Yep, let's see.
You're about half.
And that's 11 hit points, which is my max, so I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back full.
Nice.
So once he does that, she's going to go over to Harlow and just put a hand on her shoulder and cast Cure Wounds.
Okay.
Yeah, it was looking pretty rough.
Yeah, Lyle and Harlow got ripped pretty good.
I got down to 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, I knew he had a little touch and go
So
there.
that's going to be 6 hit points. That should put you back at max.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
Yes.
I stopped limping.
Okay. Very nice, very nice.
Still.
You still have the bodies. You've looted the pack chief. The halflings confirm indeed this was a pack of gnolls, as they exclaimed when they came up, led by a pack chief. Not an uncommon arrangement, but again, from what they've seen in the hills, they all seem to be quite surprised at the number, the ferocity, and in particular the size of the leader. They're like, holy cow, this is a concern. Haven't seen it. Plus the fact that they actually raided or attempted to raid the village. That's never happened with them before.
I'm gonna approach the mayor and I'm gonna go, do you guys think you're gonna be able to be okay if more attacks like this occur?
Well, we do have our spears now, and our jaws are set. And I don't think once any attacking creatures see that nasty thing on a stick at the entrance to our village, I'm sure they'll think twice. This is the first time our village has ever been attacked in my lifetime. And we're just obviously grateful to have you here to protect us. And so once again, we are even more at your service. And he bows low, as halflings are prone to do.
Glad we could help, and
totally not answering your question.
Yeah. And thanks to Jimbo for keeping watch, huh?
He just kind of looks down. Can't help all the ale I drank, all right? And he shuffles off.
Yeah, don't get too down on it. It happens to everybody fall asleep on watch duty. That's why we get to learn by falling in the creek. We learn our lesson.
Stoneheart, please go put some clothes on.
Oh, yeah.
Just now realize that he's naked.
Do you, what else do you do? You found the spears, you got there's that glaive there that really, it's just a big honking pole arm. The blade is notched. It's a serviceable weapon, but it's not, the dwarf would tell you that it's not going to fetch much money. The best thing about it is probably its staff. It's definitely very, very hard, polished, sealed wood. But the blade has kind of seen better days.
Interesting. I'm definitely gonna look it over, but sort of pass it up. Anyone want this? The wood, it looks serviceable at least, but not really my taste.
I got Abigail here. That's all I need. I'd say let the halflings. Yeah, like they'd probably hurt themselves with it. Never mind.
As a dwarven. Go ahead.
Is there an easy way to take the blade off?
It is wound with cord and wire.
Yeah,
around
that. Unwind that.
Yeah, you could work at it and get that off. You could easily, judging by halfling height, Stoneheart in particular, you could leave the blade on and make a short halfling polearm and a staff, just by cutting it in half. Or you could take the blade off and make 2 very nice staves that would be suitable for halfling use.
Yeah, I'll tell them as such, and then I'll hand the blade over to one of the militia members and go, "That's serviceable steel. You could probably make something out of it."
Hey, thank you.
And then I'm gonna go see if all the other dead gnolls had any jank with them.
Okay. Each one of those guys had a pouch with the usual what you might expect after searching the lord or the pack lord's pouch. Detritus, tissue, bone, stone, leaf. Fuzz.
As I'm picking through their pocket meat, I'm gonna pull out one of my pieces of pocket jerky and just kind of
nice.
Toss the bones.
If you were to empty all the pouches out in a pile,
okay,
you would find 21 silver.
Okay.
And 18 copper. They weren't certainly nearly as well healed as the leader, but leader gets first dibs on the kill and on the loot and all that jazz.
Yeah.
But you got some coin there.
Any of the 4 want this? Or anyone of the 3, because Flint already walked back inside and up.
I can add it to the party treasure.
Alright, here you go.
What is it?
21 silver and 18 copper.
And then just bits and pieces and some rocks, maybe a couple little quartzes, just shinies, but nothing beyond that of any real value.
Which I totally take no notice of and just toss with the growing pile of meat and bone.
Yeah, the detritus, nasty.
How many silver?
21. And then I'm gonna stand up and kind of crack my back again and go, wow, that was certainly an eventful morning. Can we have some food?
By all means, please, the mayor. Find your way back to the village, and we'll be breaking fast with the dawn's early light, if you will.
I'm gonna go in and grab my stuff.
Really about an hour till sunup. Yeah. The battle didn't take that long, but by the time you've looted and drugged the bodies off and done with them, whatever you want to do and all that, it'll be approaching sunup, at which time it'll be time for breakfast in the village.
Yeah. All right. I'll make some notes in my books and then head down to the village with whoever wants to accompany me.
I will get dressed, say my prayers.
Thank God.
Talk to Honora for a while. Yell at Sir Brandwald for not keeping very good watch while we were sleeping. There was something else, but I don't remember. So
I'll head down as well.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I'll head down and I'll ask the mayor, is there a way to send mail back to Allfield? No, not Allfield.
Edgefield.
Sorry.
Or
Edgefield.
Perhaps High Meadow Manor, if you would. Yeah.
Isn't Allfield from Crit Roll?
Yeah, it is. I've messed up, okay?
That's awesome.
But is there a way to send mail back to say, Edgefield Manor? Maybe.
None that I'm aware of. Being out on the edge of the wild as we are, and off the beaten path, our village is not terribly easily found by travelers. You have to, except now that the ogre has created a path, we'll have to rectify that. But no, there's really no way to get messages effectively back and forth.
Yeah, well, thank you anyway.
I'm going to pat Flint on the shoulder and I'm going to say, don't worry, you can send that to your girlfriend later.
I don't have a girlfriend. Shut up, Pavel.
Yet, as I walk away.
So you guys are down in the village, rashers of bacon on the fire, more goat cheese, fresh crusty bread. Yeah, pocket bacon.
I'm like I like scoop a hollow out of a piece of bread and I just shove bacon into it and I'm like eating it like a weird sandwich.
Halflings are watching.
Look at his
Never
idea.
thought of that. Yeah.
It's a very warm pocket, sort of like a hot vessel for food.
Yeah, I stick a bit of cheese in there and let it melt on it, like with the bacon. I go,
Oh man, you're making me hungry.
very hot pocket, guys.
Oh, if you just got an egg to put in there.
Oh my gosh.
Harlow notices a little pull at her cloak or whatever your outer vestments are, and there's just the cutest, sweetest 11-year-old hobbit child with her sword, wishing you a good morning. Hello, Miss Gold person. I've been practicing with my sword.
Good. And just so you know, if your sword doesn't work, always punch him in the snout, right in the nose.
I will do that.
Punch him in the nose. Okay.
I'm gonna lean over. Hit him with your palm. It won't hurt your knuckles.
She smiles and looks to Harlow and looks at Pavel, and she gives you a piece of bark that she's, ripped off a tree. I want you to have this. It's for me.
Thank you very much.
She gives you a hug and shyly scampers off, clutching her little sword. And so breakfast continues. It's the morning, we're having breakfast. Usual hobbit, halfling things are going on. The mayor and Jimbo the miller has disappeared into the mill. And so it is breakfast at Brightwater Creek.
I'm gonna. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Is there any way I can get some coffee?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's coffee on the hearth and all of that morning stuff. Hobbits love their coffee and ale.
I find the biggest mug and I get all the coffee I can.
You have no problems with that. It's not awesome. They have to trade for their coffee out here. So you can tell it's been hanging around a while. But it's recognizable.
Yay.
And so just as a bit of a kind of a recap of where we are, right? You're at the morning of your second day in the Flinty Hills. You've already had 2 significant battles. You're 3-4 miles into the Flinty Hills, which is, by your reckoning, you're probably still 1, 2, 3 days out from the region where you think you'll find the cube. You have that path that'll take you, that worn path from the ogre that will take you back out to the path you were on. The ogre's body was last seen there. Does anybody know anything about ogres? Have any ogre lore?
Do you think I would have been taught any by my mentor?
I would say go ahead and make a nature check. Since you were in the tutelage and employ of a woodsman, I would say there's a fairly good. So you remember from your mentor telling you stories of ogres as a child, a young person. When you first came to him, he used them to kind of scare, use them as like, don't get caught in the woods by the ogres, But as you grew older, he actually, divulged that they're actually ogres are things. They're not terribly pleasant. They're incredibly stupid. They don't bathe. They eat flesh of all kinds. They're inherently unkind. and they like shiny things and weapons, and they usually have a stash of some, they have a place where they hang out and pillage from.
Interesting.
Oh man.
I'm gonna
how's that for a hook?
I dig it.
But that's what ogres do, man.
As I finish my definitely not a hot pocket, I look around and I go, that ogre we killed yesterday. If it's like anything the ogres I've been told about in the past, they typically have something of a hideout where they stash weaponry and little trinkets and gold and whatnot. If we can track it down, that might be a good idea. Just to see what we can scrounge up. If nothing else, to help arm the town.
I'm in.
I agree.
I'm gonna walk up to the mayor and go, do you know where that ogre lived?
Of course I do not. Why would I know where an ogre lived? All I know is I assume he was the source of our vanishing sheep and goats, which we'll never be able to really replace. I'm sure he had to live somewhere.
Probably the hollow where we found him.
True.
Seems like a good hideout.
If we head back to the dead body, I think I can track where he went from and to.
Yeah, the way the kids followed themselves back into Brightwater Creek, there was some trampling of the ogres coming and going as he was, looting the village, eating, killing sheep and so forth. So you can follow that easily enough back out of the village and out to the main path where you were tromping through the hills when you encountered the ogre at first.
All right, let's go find an ogre home.
Yeah, I'm gonna relay what sort of our plan to the mayor. We're gonna go find where that ogre lived and see if we can't see if he had anything worth taking. They tend to hoard weaponry, and that could be good for you.
Yes, indeed. We certainly want no part of visiting any ogres, whatever, cave, hut. But you're certainly welcome to do so, and we'd definitely be quite thankful for any weapons or, things that could be useful.
Yeah, I think you guys probably need it. What with
Very well.
All the attacks recently.
Let us show you then back to where we picked up the ogre's trail.
I'm just gonna kind of wave him off and go, we can manage. We've got a fairly good tracker on our own.
Very well. We will anxiously await your return.
Mm-hmm. Not very tactful on my part, but
good job.
Yeah.
You're role playing that -1 fairly well, so I don't feel like you need to roll for that. I think
it's so hard because again, I'm just a very natural extrovert, and in our other Wednesday game, I'm a freaking charismatic as hell warlock.
Are you now?
Mechanically, yeah.
Nice cover there.
The paper says he is.
The paper says I am. Whether or not real life says it is another thing.
Okay. So, you easily find your way back out to where that ogre's path and tromping around and such.
Yeah, as we go, I'm sort of strapping on my half plate and whatnot.
Very good. Okay. Yeah, so you can don your armor and all of that good stuff, and you find your way back out. Again, it wasn't that far from the halfling village out to that trail.
Do we get a short rest?
If you need to, yeah. You've had breakfast and so forth. You're all healed. We got interrupted, so spell slots aren't going to be recovered. We didn't get a full long rest in, but if you need a short rest for a purpose, absolutely.
All I'm short rest dependent, so good.
Would I still heal the remaining damage I had from the fight since we never really did go back to bed?
You can use one of your hit
You
die.
could use a hit die on a short roll.
I have one hit die. Yeah, I can do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even going to roll because it's 3 points and that's my constitution mod, so I'll just take that and just put myself back up to full.
There you go.
So go ahead and take your short rest, roll your hit die.
As we're walking, I'm gonna kind of look over and at the group and go, was I maybe a little too mean to Jimbo the scholar?
Yes.
And I air quote scholar.
Maybe a little bit, yes.
I don't want to apologize, but maybe I should.
Oh, I'm sure he can take a joke.
No, you were rude to him as he walked out. It's not the end of the world. There has been worse. However, it's right. You probably should be a little nicer to him for now.
Yeah, but like he dissed magic, and that's sort of a sore point for me.
There are people there that hate magic.
Yeah.
You need every single one of them.
I mean, I can try.
It'll get you killed.
Oh.
Yeah. Possibly, hopefully, I'm not sure.
I'll think about apologizing to him.
Oh, even if you don't apologize, do something nice for him.
I could suggest giving him a hammer.
Dude, we don't just have a bunch of hammers laying around, okay?
I don't think that works for every situation, Stoneheart.
Also, I'm not trying to become romantically engaged with this dwarf, and I know that's sort of your MO. So I think that might be
point.
No, blunt.
Why am I traveling with you guys?
Because we're just so awesome and charismatic. Also, you want to date the elf lady, and that's
you
what
don't
she
know my life choices, Pavel. I have other motivations.
You're like
It's written all over your face.
just like a little obvious about it.
Because you like the way I sing?
That's definitely why we're traveling together, Stoneheart. Belt it out, please.
No.
Give us a rousing travel song.
Oh, we're looking for an ogre to stomp in the mud.
Please stop.
How many refrains does he get through before we get back to the ogre's dead body?
You could finish a song because again the trip back out to the path was, what did we say, about a quarter mile, I believe, where you encountered the ogre. So it's going to take a little time for you to march a quarter mile. So yeah, full song.
Everybody together. Oh, we're looking for an ogre.
No.
I think I hum along, but more in like trying to keep going with it than actually enjoying it.
Nice.
I pick up a rock and just throw it at the back of Pavel's head.
Can I make a dex save to dodge?
Sure. Absolutely.
No, I don't dodge. It hits me.
Thunk.
Hey.
This was a rock. This was a rock.
Yeah, it's just a small pebbly rock.
Oh, okay. I got my D4 out, man. I'm ready to do some damage. Maybe have an attack roll.
I give him the finger as he turns around to look at me.
Doink.
Hey, I think I got a hit here. This could be the one that makes me.
Makes you what?
Makes me a bard.
Unpopular?
Makes you go deaf.
Huh. So you guys get back to the path, and sure enough, there it is. Off to one side, the dead, disemboweled body of the ogre. Big gash across his midsection, entrails splayed, flies, not smelling good. I mean, it was already rancid as hell.
Yeah.
This is nasty.
Also,
the day is going to build up.
Work, by the way, guys.
What's that?
I said solid team chemistry. We're all getting along.
So what you had before you was a hulking, huge body of blubber and muscle and fang and stench and stubbly hair and gross.
I'm gonna pull my like hastily made bear pelt cloak up over my nose and like gag a little bit.
He has a leather bracer on one forearm that's kind of gnarly looking. In fact, it looks to be kind of very poorly fastened with some leather strings on the inside, on the forearm side, like it doesn't fit, and he just made it work. There's the big club that fell when he fell. And then you have the other path going off across the main path that looks to be also an extension of the ogre's travel.
I will dump out his bag, the rest of that the kids climbed out of, to see if there's anything else in his bag.
Right. A few random sticks and leaves. Nothing of any value. It's a stinky, smelly sack.
Well, we could keep his club and cut it up for firewood later, I guess. But
you could easily burn a couple, 2-3 hours of fire out of that hard, nasty, knotty club. Yeah.
I'm gonna like tug his bracer off, cut the straps and tug the bracer off and examine it, see if it's worth anything.
Okay, what you have is basically a slice of leather that's been tooled, pressed, rolled, tanned, all that. Crudely shredded kind of holes where he maybe rivet holes were there or some kind of fastener holes were there to start with, and he really wrenched on that thing to tie it tight, but it's clearly 4 sizes too small, and it's just basically now what you have is a leather swath that smells horrible.
Can I walk around the hollow and see if this is actually where he was living, or had stuff?
Does anyone want this?
You're in
down, Pavel.
I like toss it into the goop.
Yeah, it's gross. You're on the path. You happened to encounter him as he was crossing the path. You came around the bend in the hills, so the path from the direction you came bends around a hill. The path goes forward in the hills, and then his trail kind of crosses, and you can just tell where he's cut through the brush to your left if you're facing, as if you're going to continue on your journey. The Hobbit settlement is off to the right a quarter mile, and then his trail continues off to the left. But there's nothing, there's a few scrubby trees, some juniper rock, hard pan, some scruffy little grass here and there. It's just that stony, scrabbly hills.
Can we keep going to try and find his horde?
Yeah, Flint, I think you should probably take the lead here. You seem to be a bit of a tracker.
All right, I'll take the lead then.
Very well. So far as you're cruising along this path, it's not hard to follow what you presume to be the ogre's trail. There's bits of meat, nasty, rancid, like he was feeding along the way at times. There are pieces of flesh or skin from animals, an ear, some bone here and there, and you're going back into the hills a good bit. You've gone about a quarter mile. There's been some wool, like sheep's wool, goat skin, a couple hoofs. Just you could tell he's not a real tidy fella. And as you crest a little ridge, you notice a very wide, dark crack in one of the sides of the hills. And some of these hills, you could see maybe there might be a cave here, there, a crack, a fissure. But this one's big, and you can see that crack off in a kind of a stone face at the base of one of the hills.
I think that place might be worth checking out.
Yes, but we should approach cautiously.
Yep. I agree. I pull my sword.
I draw my bow.
I got my axes.
And so...
Branderwall, bring your cape. Go scout it out.
Stoneheart.
And so you approach this fissure in the face of the rock wall. Some of these hills are knolls that have earth over them, some grass, some trees, some scrub. Some of the hills are more like rock, some of which is cracked, weathered, and in this case there appears to be a fairly large separation. As you approach it, what looked like a large fissure, because of the angle of it, you were looking kind of across it, not at it. And as you get up in front of it, you realize it's a fairly wide mouth, opening almost like a cave mouth. What would you like to do at that point?
I'll hit him first.
Okay. So you enter, and it is dark and dank, but dry. Like you don't step in any water, you don't hear water dripping, but you enter quite dim, and it smells awful. You do notice as you enter what looks to be a large gray canine carcass in a pretty sad state of disrepair. There's a leg missing. It's mostly just the hide and some bones, a little flesh here and there. And so you enter into a large cave. As you work your way in, 5 feet, 10 feet, it opens up. And as you get into the cave, the smell gets worse. The darkness thickens. There's light at the entrance, but it quickly diminishes as you get 5 feet in, 10 feet in, and it becomes, 15 feet in. It becomes difficult to tell just how big this thing is as you get in there.
I've got dark vision, but I do have a torch, so I'll light it.
Okay. So as Harlow works her flint and steel and chips away at that, gets a spark and a little oil and so forth going on the torch, it alights, and in the flickering light, you can see you're in a cave that you get. It's probably a good 8 feet across that mouth of that, and as you get about 15 feet in, it widens out, and it's probably 25, 30 feet around in this. It's just a single, as you hold your torch out and shine around, it's kind of a single cavern. There's a big crack in the ceiling that leads you to believe that maybe this was somehow formed by water some long time ago.
Can I make a perception check to see if I notice anything in particular?
Sure.
Is it safe? I call everybody in.
I don't notice jack.
Okay.
I rolled a 5.
Very nice. So Harlow, you're the one furthest in with the torch, right? Are the rest of you filing in then?
I'd follow behind her.
I'm staying close-ish to the opening, but just keeping a bead out with my bow.
Very good.
I'll follow in.
So you all enter the cave, and you see what looks to be the skin and bones and head and so forth of a dwarf who has been somehow hung on one of the walls. There ain't much left of him but his hide and the furs and the leather pants he was wearing. Apparently had met a nasty end at the hands of this Grond fellow. You see a couple of sheep carcasses. There's a dead sheep. There are a couple of goat carcasses. So, you probably found this dude's little hut. What would you like to do?
I cut the dwarf down.
I will assist and lay him out. And I will start examining to see if there's a way to, after I lay him out, as they look over everything else, I'm going to be looking for a way to collapse some of the stone wall or something to bury him, or maybe completely seal this off.
Oh, so you're thinking there might be a way at the end of all of this to use this as his tomb?
Right.
The cave itself. Okay. Yeah, and the condition of the body, he's basically got what you would wear under armor. It's not under armor, but it's, the leather clothing you'd wear under armor. So his armor's been stripped away. He's been mostly eaten. He met a grisly end at the hands of this nasty. But it's very clearly a dwarf. As the rest of you explore the cavern, towards the back, everything's always towards the back. You notice the interesting thing about this cavern, there are grooves in the floor where water has gone, but it's not all entirely a stone floor. There's a mound of earth toward the back of the cavern that it's either that the floor has been dug or the earth has been brought in or some combination of the two, but there's a fairly large, maybe 3 foot high, 6 feet across, sort of, rough looking mound of dirt and rock. And it's kind of back at the the back wall of the cave there.
Yeah, again, I'm sort of still near-ish the mouth, but I've walked in a little bit, just kind of keeping an eye out. I'll keep checking behind me too.
Okay. You don't sense any danger, any issue. Your spidey sense isn't going off. You're not hearing anything. It appears that what you see is what you see. The cave appears to be dry, but it smells bad. You can tell there's a spot where there's been some grasses and branches and things drug in there to make some kind of a sleeping, platform, just a pile, and it's all crushed down and so forth. Some defecation and things are in there amongst all of the dead bodies and bones and hides and things. And then you have that pile of, the classic, there's a pile of rubble in the back of the room.
I'm gonna go kind of toe the pile with my boot just to see if there's anything in it.
Sure. It appears to be what you would typically classify as a pile of dirt and stone.
Anybody want to take a closer look, or?
I'm good.
Stoneheart, you're good with this sort of stuff, stone, dirt, and the like.
I will come over from examining the doorway and examine this pile of rubble.
Okay. It looks like, somebody has piled or unearthed some, there's been digging or there's been soil and rock brought in. Again, parts of the floor are dirt, parts of the floor are stone. So it could be that they've dug right there and that's, the result. The surface has been disturbed. It could also be that there's been dirt brought in from elsewhere and piled there. But it's not compact like the floor is. It's been moved, dug, excavated, so forth.
But there's no apparent place where it came from? Like there's no depressions and holes or anything like that?
Well, it's on the ground, so for all you know, underneath it could be the depression. Or it could literally just be piled there. Hard to say. But it looks to be of similar material of what's typical in the cave and around the area.
Okay. You said that there was like sort of a sleeping place almost?
Yeah. It's like a bed for a giant ogre type guy. It's like sticks and leaves and grasses and just, on the floor in a pile. And it's been,
I'm sort of going to kick around through that, see if there's anything noticeable.
Sure. In the process of doing that, you raise one hell of a stench and some dust.
Again, I pull my bearskin cloak and, cover my face.
Yeah, literally, that's what you got there. Sticks, leaves, all really, smashed. Grasses, nothing more.
Maybe someone should take a closer look through this pile, maybe dig down a bit. probably doesn't like getting her hands dirty, so she won't do it, but she's gonna somebody else do it.
Tom kind of cracks his hand and
Start's gonna start digging at it too.
Digging away at the pile to see if there's anything inside the pile.
So who all is doing the digging?
Flint, Pavel.
Okay, don't you hate it when DMs ask shit like that?
Oh no!
Loaded question.
I presume you're kind of hunched over, you're kneeling in front of it, kind of raking a little bit, curious but cautious. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. So as you begin to clear away and rocks roll away, and the dirt's loose, you're able to you kind of start to find a shape in there, and you feel wood. You scruff your knuckles on it, right?
I look at Flint and nod. It's like found something.
Yeah, you have unearthed the top of a chest. Again, the shape of the dirt. Now that you are starting to put two and two together, you're thinking, well, that was kind of chest-shaped dirt. If you were kind of, very obvious that dirt was put there to conceal what's left of a pretty shitty-looking chest. There's kind of iron strapping around the ends. The clasps don't align or clasp. It's not locked. There's cracks in the wood. It's really pretty gnarly-looking chest.
Yeah.
But
It's epic, isn't it?
The lid is closed.
I want to fully unearth it before we do anything.
Okay.
How long would you say that takes?
Just 5-10 minutes. Now that you're down to the lid and you've got the lid, it's just basically a matter of moving the dirt away. As you dig through this, you can tell that he probably put the chest there and put, gathered up dirt from somewhere and just heaped it over it. Just, like an ogre burying his treasure without even burying it.
Okay. I'm gonna perception check this to see if there's anything noticeable about it. It's weird. I don't know. I feel weird. Okay. 16.
16. Okay, so as you look at this closely, trying to be sensible, not just rushing headlong into this like you might ordinarily do as Pavel. It's a broken down chest. It's not in great shape. The lid is even a little it's not square, it's not flush, it's not latched.
All right, I'm gonna pull my rapier and flip the lid with the tip of my blade.
Okay. Make me a strength check, because you immediately feel the blade flex a little. It's a heavy
18.
That should do it. So as you start to flip it, nothing really happens, so you give it some heft, and you lift it, and the chest lifts. Lid lifts. And actually clatters off and falls off. The hasps on the back are shot, and in it you see a fair amount of coin. And there's a what looks to probably match the wolf hide, kind of a ball wad laying on some of the coin. The coin appears to be gold crowns and electrum. Mm-hmm. There are 3 daggers of okay, they need to be sharpened. There's a couple notches, but they'll put a hole in you if they're enough oomph behind them. And that's what you see in there.
Okay, I'm gonna take that ball of wolf fur or whatever it is and pick that up.
It's heavier than you would think a ball of fur should be, and it feels like the ball of fur is really wrapped around something.
Okay, I'm gonna move off to the side and start unwrapping it.
Okay. As you unwrap that, what is everybody else doing?
I'll make a stonework check.
What are you looking at there, my friend?
Well, do I think it will be possible to seal this little cave off?
You feel like you would have to do some work to get enough stone to stack that entrance, because it's about 8 feet wide and probably almost that high. Now, it's not a perfect square, it's a fissure, but it's open enough that you could tell as you look around there was ogre fur. He really had to wiggle to get through that sucker in places. But you feel like you could probably stack enough stone to cover that. If you worked and looked around the hills, you could easily find enough stone to close that off. But it's not going to be something you can beat the hell out of and cause an avalanche to seal it that way.
All right. Well, in that case, I will just start taking... It's not the best, but at least he'll be under the earth like every good dwarf should. I'll start taking some of this dirt and that they've uncovered the chest from and make a burial mound for the dwarf.
Perfect.
Say a couple words.
Between the earth and what's happened with his body, that's just a couple of stones and rocks and handfuls of stuff from outside will finish that off easily. Maybe you want to put a marker on it, do your dwarven thing. Very nice.
Is there anything else in the chest, like underneath where the wolf hide was?
Lots of coin, gold and electrum-looking coin.
Okay.
Lots and lots. More than you've... not more than you've seen at one time, but there's plenty.
Alright. I'll just start counting it, I guess. Just pull out in categories of electrum and coin.
Yeah, you have gold crowns and electrum pieces. There's 70 electrum in there. And 162 gold. As determined by official dice rolls. Ooh, I love that part of D&D. But as you scoop and pour out of here, you also find a couple of rough pieces of green, glassy-looking rock stone. Again, uncut, unfinished. But there may be some value there. And they're green. 2 of them.
I hold out the sapphire to Harlow and say, "Trade ya."
Sure. And I hand her one of the green stones.
Green's a better color.
And I counted out and I divided amongst everybody. I don't actually know what it is, but I'll divide whatever the amount is between everybody.
Yeah, there's 162 gold, 70 electrum. The chest is really, it looked like maybe he had found this chest. Maybe it was in the cave, who knows, but it doesn't look like the chest was meant for the items. It was like a place that he could put all that shit to keep it from being a big mess, and then he covered it in dirt. And then you have what Pavel is unwrapping. And so as he peels back the wolf hide, nasty, sticky, kind of some of it's like stuck to the potion bottle that is revealed. And so you have a flask with a liquid.
Does it have a label?
It does not have a label.
Okay. Can I roll, because of the other part of my background that we haven't talked about really yet, can I roll to see if I know what this is?
Yeah, you probably want to roll an Arcana check. Does that sound right?
Yep. 23.
Okay. If you examine, it's okay to get a little taste, and it's not that you're looking for the effect of the potion in a minute way, but the taste, the consistency, the color, all of that. You really feel like it's probably along the lines of the potions you've been given by Lord Thanon. But you feel like it's somehow perhaps more concentrated, more powerful,
interesting,
like kind of badass compared to the ones you have now. What do you have? Potions of healing?
Yeah.
That little case with the
Yep. We each took one and then left the other 5 in the box.
Very good. You're pretty confident that this is a solid, really ass-kicking healing potion.
Okay.
It's got the same taste properties, but it's maybe more viscous, like it's been cooked down, or some way of strengthening. However, they make magic gear.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's in that family of potions.
I'm gonna look back and go, we've got another potion of healing, but this one seems better than the ones we were given. I'm not sure. Something along the lines of maybe a greater healing potion.
Potion of healing-er.
Potion of healing-er.
Yeah, healing-er potion. Yeah.
It does more heal.
Yes. For mechanics and statistical sake, it's a potion of superior healing. Right off a table. I love my shiny percentiles. So it appears, that this ogre has stumbled into some good times in Ogre world.
Hell of a healing potion, my guys.
Yeah. It sure is. So he's clearly taken down a dwarf. Obviously, a lot of critters, a wolf. One would surmise the treasure might have been connected somehow to this dwarf. But that's what you find in the cave. It's dry, it's defensible, it's safe, it's midday, and it's 11.
Was that wolf? You said the wolf hide was sort of gross. Is any of it salvageable?
It's been there for days.
So
I would say no. Yeah.
I'd toss it to the side.
Yeah, you can tell he's been eating on it.
And then sort of like wipe the whatever goo off on my pants.
Yeah. So there you have it. It's midday of day 2 in the Flinty Hills.
Yeah. Arlo, did you say you were dividing it up? The money up?
Yep.
Yeah, she put it in chat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Electrum's like 5 silver, right? Just make sure I did the math out on my paper for myself, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a nice place for us to conclude our game this evening.
I agree.
Yep.
Next 2 weeks from tonight, we'll pick it up in the Ogre's Lair. You've treasured up a little bit. Obviously, you've got to make decisions on what you want to do with how much coin you want to carry, so on and so forth. You do have a pack mule. You're certainly not over-encumbering at this point. But there you go. So, what do y'all think?
It's fun.
Will they ever...
And I never want to ask anyone for advice ever again.
Why? But we give such good advice.
No.
Right?
The best advice.
It's so fun giving horrible advice.
Flint just wants genuine help, you guys.
That should be Stoneheart's answer to everything. You're bleeding? Put a hammer on it.
It's awesome. So, I hope this was enjoyable. We're taking much longer to get there than I thought, but I think, we're creating a campaign, so it doesn't have to be get into the module.
Right.
And I want to.
Still not in the module yet?
No.
Oh my god!
You're 3 days away from the module. And one of my comments from last time was, let's don't hasten through travel. Let's just don't go. Day is over. Next day. Day is. So I don't want to do that to you guys.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can do in the Flinty Hills. You're chewing through some excellent, typical creature encounters.
I battled and valiantly won a fight against a barn.
Yes, you took that wall to task. We've also, part of what I wanted to do with your trip to the queue is install some side story, backstory, lore for the region, so that once you're done with these 2 modules, there will be other hooks out there for you to look into. I didn't want this to just be like, okay, so, and then you're there.
Yeah.
So this sets you up for future modules, campaign, adventure after these 2 modules. So I'm thinking big picture there. So let's just go around real quick. What did y'all think about tonight? Let's start with our friend Shannon, the poor, picked upon, gay dumpster fire girl.
Oh wow, that seems excessive.
Gay dumpster fire. That's a slight jump from gay disaster.
Yeah, you went from disaster to dumpster fire. We didn't even go to trash can fire.
No, we went right to.
She's questioning a lot of things right now, and she's just like, I don't know, getting over that love struckness, probably having to deal with you guys all the time.
But we love you.
And I just want to be able to do the final blow on a creature. I thought I was gonna get it with the Gnoll captain, and then I had to go and cut its head off like a badass. But no, I really love the fights and how creative we are with the attacks we do. I think it's really fun, and it's really great to just listen to, honestly.
Yeah. Good.
You know, if you really want, I could work that stone for you and turn it into something that's really you to give her.
Think about it. I have other plans, perhaps. Not everything's related to how gay I am, you guys.
Yeah, what you got there is a couple sapphires, and in their present condition, those 2 emeralds are probably 40 GPs each. One Stoneheart has a chance to look at them. He could determine that. Obviously, there's a chance to cut those into something of more value in the hands of a great gem cutter. So, but you got a couple of, 30 gold piece sapphires and a couple 40 GP emeralds as they sit.
All right.
So, we just got a new follower, Bob Snoggles, which, if memory serves, I think that's my brother.
Oh, welcome either way.
So, Stump, how was it for you tonight?
It was great. I got to run around naked. I got to give 3 kids wooden swords and hopefully make them feel good about themselves. I got to write some songs. But, I mean, I punched a Gnoll in the nose. It was a good day.
Sure was. Well said. Very good. Kayla, Harlow, Ms. Misery.
Again, like what Shannon said, I just really like the balance of this group. We're all a little bit wacky, and but I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying their combat to end the role play. So I find them a really good balance.
Good.
So I'm really pleased. I'm very happy.
Awesome. Ayala. Sheena.
As the others have said, I've really enjoyed the balance of combat and roleplay, and I don't intentionally kill everything, guys. I'm sorry.
Sure.
It just kind of happens. No, but it's real fun, and 2 weeks feels too long.
I know.
Yeah.
Very good. And last but not least, Pavel, what are your thoughts on tonight's session?
Oh, you guys, it's so fun. I rolled a man into a pile of stinky hay in a lake or a river, and then I fought a barn and
kind of won.
And sort of won. Yeah. I basically broke a rib and threw up, but so did the barn. I think we're all really getting into our characters.
Agreed.
It's it's always a little bit of a challenge at the start to get into the role play aspect, but we're starting to really lock in, I think, which makes it just so much more fun. Pavel is obviously a bit of a goofball, but he's a smart goofball and a goofball who cares.
Except if you rip on magic, then he just doesn't care,
and he'll dump you in a river.
That's again, I've hinted at things about his past that we haven't really discussed, and that's definitely part of it. I just had a blast today, and definitely made a bit of a damn near suicide attack against the Gnoll leader, but
that was cool. Yeah, I like that. So a question for you: how is the Theater of the Mind thing working? Okay.
Yeah, I love Theater of the Mind. That's how I do it.
Okay, because a lot of the streams we see, they got nice maps and tokens and things, and I like that. But I'm not technically savvy enough, nor do I have time to create all that. So on one hand, it's kind of cheating, but to me, I like Castle Mac is all about old school D&D. And I like that we're taking that one step further without any maps or tokens. But I hope the descriptions of position and battle and things are enough for you to work with that aren't just fantasy out the window beyond what could be real, but enough description that it's working for you. So I hope that is happening.
Yeah, it's working good.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
I am thrilled at the level of role play. What I want to do something a little different with inspiration. Rather than do player rewarded inspiration, I'm going to have you each leave the game tonight with an inspiration on your sheet that you own that you can spend. And that is coming from your DM to you. Each of you role played really well tonight in your own character's way.
Thank
In
you.
a lot of different situations, whether it be interacting with the halflings or your commentary to your combatants, your flair for how you did combat, your theater of the mind work. So each of you has an inspiration. The group still has 8 inspiration from divine rerolls. We're actually 8 divine rerolls. And then you all need to spend some time between this week and next working on your accomplishments as second level characters.
Yeah!
So I wanted to get you leveled up tonight with some combat, and you did a thing, right? You guys did a thing.
Yeah, baby.
Our rolls were crazy. I mean, but wow. Rolls were on point. And
I'll definitely take responsibility for the good rolls, starting off the round.
Nat 20,
the game with a nat 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had a good number of dirty 20s.
A lot of dirty 20s.
Well, when I had that first encounter with the ogre, I had to almost double his hit points to make it last that long. You guys, he was an ogrillin, so a half ogre. And I had to go full ogre, and I was really worried about it. I was like, man, what if it kills him? So clearly, as a new DM, I'm still learning what you're capable of doing in combat and how I need to throw things at you. The Gnolls, it was going to be like 4, and then I saw what you did to the ogre, and so we went with 7 and a nasty, and it got a little chippy, but you guys did it, and you did it well. So absolutely, second level, do your thing. If you want to roll for hit points or you want to average, I don't care. You don't need to show me rolls. Do your thing. I think the dice rolling's going well. So great job, everybody.
Yay, second level.
Level 2.
Level 2.
That's right.
Level 2.
And I want you ready to rock and roll by the time you get to the queue. Which we're getting there. We're 3 days dead travel across the Flinty Hills to the region. So you're doing just fine. I don't know. I like everything to have interest, adventure, role play. And so I couldn't just, so you left the manor and you talked to an elf and, here's the queue. I wanted it to be a thing. And like I said, I'm trying to install some stuff lore-wise and hooks for side adventures and things later. So
Yeah. Oh, guys.
Before we log off, I wanted to just again thank Castle Mac for letting us play on their channel.
Yes, big time.
Down below, you will find a link to Discord. Please join the Discord if you're not already. This group and the one that plays on the other Wednesday nights, which I DM. We all met and we set these up through Discord. And I want to give a thanks to, we listen to their Bandcamp, or the music that plays is available on Bandcamp.
Yeah, Castle Mac Andrew composes all that, and it's wonderful.
Yep.
And thanks to the chat tonight, we had some lively, especially Mr. Mephisto.
Yeah.
Rocking out the chat, so man, we sure appreciate that. That's fun.
Unofficially naming our group the Dirty 20s.
Yes. And the head, what is it, head taker?
Head taker.
Head taker. I like it. Yeah, so well played, y'all.
And I'm Pavel Barnfighter.
Pavel Barnfighter.
And I'm apparently Flint Dumpster Fire.
Nice.
And
Stoneheart self-talker.
No, Stoneheart naked.
Yeah, Stoneheart the nude.
really, gods made us in their image, and they made us naked. So really, being naked is paying tribute to the gods. I mean, when you think about it.
Stoneheart the natural.
Mr. Mephisto says Pavel Barn Leaper into.
Yeah.
That works.
And then Harlow done with the shit.
That's big.
Ogre Gutter. That can be DM Adventure Hooker. All right. So we should probably sign off. Next time I'll have to bring Gus on the air and introduce him to our chat.
Gus.
Gus the pug made an appearance on break. So, well, thank you all for playing. This was fun tonight.
Yeah.
So I hope you all are enjoying it. As always, PCs, hit me with some feedback in DMs or whatever if I can do better at something or whatever. Just let me know.
Yes, this game plays every other Wednesday, and opposite Wednesdays, IDM with a lot of these. Shannon plays, Pavel plays, Miss Misery, and there's 2 others that join us in that stream.
It's a real good game, yeah. Is that Tomb of Annihilation you guys are running?
Yep.
Yeah,
although
that's pretty cool.
it's awesome. While technically I am running Tomb of Annihilation, it's if we get to the tomb, we'll get to the tomb.
It sounds familiar.
Shalt is so fun.
Right. So, okay.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks for running us, Wiley.
Thanks for playing. What a blast. Had a good time.
See everybody later.
See ya.
Bye, Internet.